everybody, and welcome back to the Drift Masters Championship. We are here for round 4. It's Riga, baby. We're bigger and badder than last year. Look at this grandstand around me. We've got another 3,000 people packed into the house. Nearly 10,000 spectators are going to be watching what happens here this afternoon, because our championship pretenders and contenders are going to be putting it down all on the line for you guys as we head into our top 32. It's a fantastic venue, our spiciest track of the season. So let's take a quick look at our calendar so far. We had our first round in Valencia, heading into Mondello Park, our third round in Finland. Now we are here for our fourth round in Riga, and then heading on to Hungary, and then it's the final, the big round 6 at the PGE Narodowy in Poland for the big showdown. Over 50,000 people are going to pack out a stadium to see who's going to be crowned our king of Drift Masters. Well, guys, we obviously had Finland last round, which threw up Lauri Heinonen at his first Drift Masters win. If you missed all the action, check this out right now.
Welcome to Finland and welcome to round 3 of the Drift Masters Championship, where we are in, and I mean this literally, a theme park, the Power Park in Havalto in Finland, where we have sold out. His place is absolutely packed to the rafters, standing room only. The best in the business are getting warmed up for what is going to be an epic encounter.
But Shanahan, he's hungry for it. McKeever goes very wide and fires a car early on initiation. Looks for the rear wheel, and Shanahan shut the car down.
Shanahan's got a problem. He cannot believe this. And now there you have it officially. Duane McKeever will go through to the top 4. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Look at this. Shanahan down, looks for the back bumper, fires it in, but doesn't shortcut the circuit, keeps within that proximity. Shanahan onto the back bumper as McKeever fires down, goes super wide, just what the judges wanted to see, and Shanahan comes through the smoke. He needs to be on that front wheel and he stalls up.
Oh. Duane McKeever gets the win and goes to the final.
Look at this, through the gears, and he's staring down as Lauri Heinonen fires it across the circuit. Dean knows he can't let him get away, and he hasn't. Dean hunting down the Finnish driver. Heinonen goes deep on the outside zone, but there's no shaking James Dean, but he almost over-rotates and gives him that ground to drive away.
Oh, it's so close. Lauri Heinonen goes to the final. Dean in the lead, Shanahan in the chase.
James Dean looks for the outside zone too. Jack Shanahan takes that shallow line, goes for the front wheel, almost overtakes James Dean. Shanahan doesn't let him get away, comes through the smoke, and Dean goes over the bump, doesn't let the car go on too much angle this time, fires it up through the second to last outside zone and across the line.
Did it look to me like Jack Shanahan just couldn't find the pace? James Dean gets third step on the podium. We've got one more battle to decide, and it's the big one. It is the final of round 3. Here we go.
Through the gears, down through the start line, and Shanahan, they throw a big angle. I thought he was going to spin. Lauri Heinonen made no sense. Duane McKeever deals with it. Duane McKeever, as he transitions behind Lauri Heinonen, down into the second to last outside zone. Heinonen goes for the wall, gets up on the zone, and Duane has no answer.
No more second places, no more bridesmaids. Heinenen's in the lead of the championship, and he's won his home event, and the emotions are about to pour out of every Finnish fan in this arena.
And there you have it, the story in Finland. It threw up so many different situations, and it turned out to be a fantastic round. Now let's take a look at our driver's stand. It's coming out the back of Hyvinvaltio Power Park. So obviously in first place we have Lauri Heinonen, followed by the 2 Irish guys, Duane McKeever and James Dean, and then our first round winner, Kevin Pesser, in 4th, and Oren Nielsen in 5th. Now I've taken a walk down to the paddock to have a little chat with Lauri Heinonen. Now Lauri, yesterday, qualifying was not easy, was it? I mean, you were telling me that felt like my worst run of the day, but you still managed to clinch an incredible qualifying spot there and ended up 2nd after all. Now, Lauri, this season has been really good for you so far. Can you tell us a little bit about how Finland was for you?
Yeah, like I said, it was a fairy tale. Like you always dream about the win, but it's coming true. I think it doesn't haven't even sunk in it yet. So.
I mean, you said to me it was like to win on a home race is one thing, but to beat James Dean and win on a home race, you were kind of hitting all of your marks there. All of your dreams were coming true.
Yeah, but the reality hits now because we are a bit struggling here. So it's a good reminder to stay focused on what you're doing and not get too hyped.
I love that. I mean, it's always one step at a time with drifting because you never know what's going to happen. Let's talk about qualifying yesterday. I mean, the track is a difficult track. It's one of the most dangerous of the season. Like, what are your thoughts of your runs yesterday?
Yeah, I felt really comfortable in the trainings, and we, to be honest, we left some trainings not driving on the trainings because I felt so good. But coming onto the qualifying, I felt such bad runs, and I thought the second one would be better, but it was only worse. So the confidence really got me.
When we saw the battle between you and James Dean, I mean, your car looks like it's on rails. You have so much forward bite, but coming into one of the last outer zones, it just kind of let go. Can you tell us what happened there?
Yeah, I think we have too much wheel speed on the first run, and we smoked the tires off on the first run. So we are making some changes to correct that. And yeah, I just didn't have the grip and went wide after James and got lost in the smoke, and yeah, that was it.
We've got to talk about the Finnish fans. I mean, we have seen such an unprecedented numbers coming to our Drift Masters rounds. It's incredible. I see the Finnish flags everywhere. That must be a great feeling for you.
Yeah, like Teemu said, it's like a home race for us because all the Finns, and it's so great to be driving for the Finnish fans. They are like carrying our weight.
I keep learning bits of Finnish here and there, so I think the word is it kiitos?
Yeah, thank you, kiitos.
Kiitos, so have a great time in the top 32. We'll see how you get on, and we're hopefully having a chat with you later. Thank you so much, Larry. Right, guys, let's take another little walk down here. So we're going to head on over to Jack Shanahan's pit. I mean, he had qualifying yesterday. He put a great score on the board with a 90 and then went out for his second run and had an uncharacteristic spin there in his second run. But you know what it's like. They go out for the first one, put a great score on the board, and they know that they can push everything going into the second, and he just pushed a little bit too much. Looking at last year's round 2023, Jack had an amazing time. I mean, he won the round. He had a huge battle with his brother in the semi-finals. It's always interesting to see two brothers that are so competitive go up against each other, and then in the final against the local Nicholas Bertans, he managed to take the win. So I know that he's hoping for a great round this time, but it's all to play for. You never know what's going to happen. This is drifting, and that's the main excitement about it. Well, there you have it, an Irishman on the top spot here in Riga last year, and I'm joined by two other Irishmen that are going to be looking to take that title away from him as the King of Riga, James Dean and Duane McKeever, currently sitting just behind each other. Duane, you're in second place, obviously James, you're in third. But James, I've got to ask you, 10 years of Riga, since 2014 you've been coming here. Does it get any easier?
Yeah, 2014 was our first time in Riga, and it's probably one of the most challenging and rewarding tracks in the world. When I first came here, I found it really challenging with all the tire smoke and the speed, and since then everything has multiplied, so it's definitely not any easier than it used to be. I'm lucky that I have quite a lot of local knowledge of this track, and it's one of my favorites, but it's never easy. It can go wrong so quick, but yeah, fingers crossed today.
And throwing it over to you, Duane, I mean, you've had a couple of second places this season. Your last win was actually 2019. Could today be the day? I mean, the sun's out, you're feeling good, you got your hat on backwards, it's all happening.
I have the hat on backwards in fast mode at the minute, but yeah, I've been always coming very close to that top spot, but just never been able to get there this year. And feeling confident this weekend. I'm definitely going to go out and give it all like I can. There's a lot of amazing good drivers here. But yeah, it's hard to call. Like this year, it probably, like last year, I don't think I got the track at all. I never really got the swing of it. This year, I actually do think, from watching a lot of video from James and a lot of other drivers, that I learned a lot from watching them on their onboards. And I feel like I puzzled the track together a lot more. But definitely we're here this weekend to push for that top spot. We're sitting second in the championship at the minute, and look, we want to be sitting in first.
What is it like to have that pressure on your back? Because whenever I speak to the drivers, it doesn't matter what position they are in the grid or where they are in the championship, they tell me, I'm nervous, Becky.
So like a couple of runs yesterday, I actually had a push beyond what I actually thought that I could do. And there was actually one moment I dropped the tyre in the first corner and my heart was in my mouth. I thought I was dead, but no, we pulled through it okay. But yeah, I feel like that's what we're at all times. We're pushing 11 out of 10. We're pushing way over what we should be. But it's just trying to find that nice spot and push through it, and hopefully we can just keep doing that all weekend, yeah.
Absolutely. James, now you are back to back with events right now, but I know when you go into a weekend, if it's not going too good in qualifying, it normally throws up a pretty good result. How are you feeling going towards Hungary? Do you think it's going to happen for you, or what's happening?
One step at a time, Becky. Today is a big day. It's very challenging. We saw practice and how hard everybody is pushing. So I am going to not even think about Hungary. I'm going to think about my first battle, top 32, see if we can get through that and take it battle by battle, lap by lap, see where we end up. And by this evening, I think I'll decide about Hungary, but we'll definitely be in Poland.
Well, there you have it, guys. That's an undecided answer from James. We'll see how this weekend goes. Let's take a look at our schedule for today. And then I'm going to pass you up to our very capable commentators, the kings of the commentary box, Ian Waddington and Dave Egan. And guys, this is going to be massive. You know we all love Riga, but do you know what's going to happen? Because I don't.
Well, we certainly don't, and that's why we watch it every single weekend with our hearts in our mouths, because right now we've got two big stories playing out. We've got who wants to be King of Riga and who wants to be the championship leader coming out of this round. Two independent stories that we'll keep on top of. As I mentioned before, this is a track that takes no prisoners. We're going to see upsets, we're going to see thrills, we're going to see spills, we're going to see a lot of people getting very uncomfortable very fast. The championship order right now could be completely different towards the end of this event. Lauri Heinen comes in as the leader, but is struggling in practice, having some issues with the car, as mentioned by Becky. My name is Dave from Drift Games. I'm going to be talking through everything with my good friend Ian Waddington. Ian, we love it here because every moment, every battle is edge of your seat.
It certainly is, Dave. This track provides us with some of the most closest and fastest battles that we see on the calendar. And for me, this is always an upset. And it's not only winning the round and taking those championship points, which matter so much to this top 32 grid, it's getting that crown, Dave. Every driver who gets that crown, the King of Riga, says, I did it.
Yeah, well, to be the King of Riga, to be the winner today, you've got to impress not only the fans, not only you've got to be great on track, but you've got to be great for the judges. And the judges are going to decide who wins and loses, which means we're going to go over to our head judge this weekend, David Callas, to talk us through, in the lead and chase position, David, what are you going to do to be King of Riga?
You just need to be best, but what we will be looking on is how you're fulfilling all the zones, how you're connecting them, if the transitions are in right positions, if the deceleration zones are followed. So that's for the leader. He needs to basically run his 100 points run, be very consistent on his angle, not too small angle, not too big, very consistent with it, and it needs to be chaseable. For the chase, leader is everything, is a whole world. He needs to follow where he's going. He needs to be following his line, following his angle, keeping the proximity in various places. It is not so clever to be close everywhere, but there are places of attack and they need to use them for the maximum.
Love to hear it. And I'll tell you one thing, what I love about this more than anything is that how much you've got to be on the edge to win here. No driver's ever won Riga without pushing to 11 out of 10, as we heard Duane McKeever speak about. And let's have a look at this track. It's very, very, very difficult. One inner zone only, 5 outer zones, 1 deceleration zone. And it's all about full throttle, off the line, up to 4th gear, fired on angle into that long first corner. Get it right, you keep those 2 wheels in the zone. Get it wrong, you're on the inside. Or if you go on the outside, well, there's a big old concrete wall that doesn't take any prisoners. As you come through outer zone 1, keep it full throttle through outer zone 2, and then still full throttle in inner zone 3 as you push out in front of the grandstands at outer zone 4. Switch across the track, just stay outside of the curbs on outer zone 5, and that's a really tricky position. You see James Dean here on a masterclass in practice, just getting through all of those zones, and it is full steam through this course. This bit here, very tricky. You don't want to go up on those curbs, you don't want to get into that grass, and it's the only deceleration zone of the track as you slow the car down to the outer zone 6, which you got to stay on throttle, on the wall, all the way around. Very, very tricky. When you got 2 cars coming through here at pace, it is very challenging. That is the track. Let's have a little look forward at who has made it through the top 32. We started with 48 drivers this weekend. Well, we whittled it down to 32 already, and by the end of top 32, we've only 16 left. Here's how things are stacking up, and there is so many finals upon finals in there, Ian. That is absolutely ridiculous. Więcek, Čirba, Zalewski, Pöytälaakso, Rintanen, McKeever. It looks like a final upon a final.
And they are all final upon final battles, and I think that now comes from what Duane McKeever said, because everyone's pushing so hard that you you are getting greeted to a final battle every single way through the top 32 into the finals. For me, there's a couple of standouts. One that I'm really looking forward to is Jack Shanahan versus Keski-Korpi. Keski-Korpi's been growing into that chassis. He's been looking confident. He's been fast today. They've changed the setup on the car overnight to work better from qualifying into that top 32. I think he's going to challenge Shanahan, knowing that Shanahan has that crown from Riga last year.
Yeah, well, you got the top three guys. Laurieheinen goes against David Spossop. Duane McKeever jumping in there. In a tough battle, I would say, as far as I'm concerned, for him straight off the bat. And then James Dean, again, one of those drivers that's won here before. And again, you can't forget about Więcek. You can't forget about Jack Shanahan, because they've won as King of Riga before as well. So a lot of contenders, a lot of favourites, but always with Drift Masters, you never know what's going to happen. In the blink of an eye, we could see that all turned upside down. And I'll tell you one thing, what I'm ready for is to see these guys hit that first corner at over 140 kilometers an hour. It is top 32. We're ready to go at round 4. Let's get into it. And we kick off this top 32 with a huge battle. The pride of Lithuania, Benediktas Čirba, goes up against Piotr Więcek. Więcek struggling with the car, not the driving for the first 3 rounds, but he looked incredible yesterday. Top qualifier goes up against Čirba, who had engine troubles, put an engine in the car last minute in the pits, got himself into 32. But these guys have gone head-to-head at round 2 in Ireland, and it went one more time. Will we see it as close again? Čirba will know the quality of Więcek. Więcek wants to prove himself and get back up the order. There's a lot of ego on the start line. There's a lot of expectation, and we're about to see what goes down as these two incredible machines head to that first corner. Więcek slots it into gear, ready to go. Čirba's in gear, ready to go, and the top 32 action begins here.
Yeah, here we go, through the gears, down through that chicane, and to Čirba, sliding that car through the gears. He's keeping it very clever here. He's playing a smart game. Oh, almost takes a back bumper off the back end of that Supra, but he loses a little ground as Więcek swings it left to right, tags the wall. Čirba opens the door and takes a step in, and Więcek takes him across the line.
Oh. And we start as we mean to go on. Tons of smoke bumping into the wall and a couple of little errors creeping in from two very established drivers. They'll be able to break it down on the replay for you. But, you know, this is what we're going to try and do. Remember, we're not the judges. We're like you guys watching it, but we know the criteria. This, for me, is the first little thing you can note. Więcek goes too wide on the first corner. Looks to me like he drops a wheel over the edge of the circuit. Čirba on a little angle on the inside because Więcek's got so much pace. Now, the transition from Čirba here was really good. He's on very little angle, but he's staying and getting that proximity. The first mistake for Čirba, when it comes on this switchback, he gets too tight there, makes an amazing transition, but he's got to back off after it, which allows him to get too much grip and have a little bit of a wobble after Więcek. Więcek then transitions towards the wall, and he has one moment where he just bumps the wall a little earlier than he wanted to, or a little heavier. You can see it affect the car, but he gets on the left foot brake and makes it work, so it's not a major error. For me, a couple of little errors on both sides, but I've got to say, 2 great laps. This is going to come down to the second half of this battle. I think Więcek's got the faster car, but the faster car in the chase can sometimes mean it's easy to make mistakes too.
Exactly that. We've seen it before. These guys grip these cars up, turn them up to 100, and I think sometimes it can be a little bit too much. That was quite a hit on the wall, Dave. It did affect the front wheels.
Yeah, Marston's out with the magic tape, and I'll tell you what, Marston said, you know, he's never gone through so many rolls of tape this year. He said every car is pretty much 90% tape by the end of the event.
I mean, we're 4 rounds in, and these cars look like they've done 4 years of drifting. Yeah, that's just how hard it is.
Well, there's no point turning up with a pretty car and just, you know, dancing around for the year.
No.
You've got to put it on the walls. You've got, and these cars are built for a purpose. And that purpose is to stay together long enough to win the event. And there's not about prettiness at this stage. It's about the war of attrition, of staying the car reliably mechanically. Więcek will be taped back together. And remember, he's got to go close here. Čirba did a good job in that chase position. Didn't let Więcek get away. Więcek knows he's got the pace to catch Čirba, but you can get caught on those transitions very easily here in Riga if you're not careful. Čirba's going to have to put in a much better lead run than he did in his qualifying run to match Więcek's, but Więcek didn't put in that perfect 97-point run in that particular occasion, so Čirba's got a lot to play for here.
Certainly has, and he's going to be feeling more and more confident now. Every turn of the lap, turn of the track he gets as they come off the line. Čirba to lead out Więcek for a spot in the top 16 away. It's a big clutch kick from Čirba as he flips that car in, but look at Więcek tucked up on the rear wheel, and Čirba drops down the inside and upsets the line from Więcek now. They come down in front of the tower as he fires it right across the circuit. Some ground opens up, and Więcek uses that slingshot, that moment of momentum to get himself back into the fight as he now glues it to the rear wheel of the BMW of the Čirba fighter. Up onto the wall goes Čirba and across the line.
That was sensational. sensational in the last outer zone from Piotr Więcek. Up on the door. I thought that the transition was too risky, but he made it work.
Yeah.
He got away with it. I want to check on that first corner to me, and again, this is only speculation. Did Čirba handbrake one more time after initiation halfway through the zone? I think we're going to have to look for that. But I just think something happened where it brought him to the inside of the corner very quickly, and Więcek had to adapt. Let's see, as they came through this corner, they come into that first. You see the handbrake from Čirba goes through. They got a little lift on the troll in that outer zone. Did that cause that moment where he came inside and Więcek got pushed a little bit offline?
Yeah, I think you're right there, Dave, and you could see that Więcek was deeper into that outside zone. Čirba kind of left outside zone one a little early. He did make it work. He did get on that qualifying line, but it did upset the line from Więcek, and as you can see, it goes way wide on that.
That's an unbelievable transition from Więcek there.
Phenomenal.
Like, he gets right up in his business, even though Čirba's line wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
And then here, this is as close as you can get without making contact. Więcek has that last outer zone. He's probably the best I've seen here this weekend on that last outer zone. Tremendous pressure put through both chassis in that one. Čirba and Więcek all smiles, but let's see which way the judges go. It's for a spot in the top 16. And it's Piotr Więcek getting the win, and it wasn't so much a celebration, but it was relief, because he hasn't had the best of form. Didn't qualify in Finland with the car shutting down just 20 feet before the line. This is a lot of weight off his shoulders.
Yeah.
He needed a result to get back that confidence level high again. I think if you look at two drivers suffering with confidence at the moment, it would definitely be Więcek and Shanahan, Conor Shanahan. You know, ex-champions expected to be right up there. Just hasn't worked that way for them this year. But Więcek now, you can tell, after a tough, you know, had a big bang with Duane McKeever in the qualifying showdown. They got that car 100%. Now, we knew Čirba was a tough draw, and he got through. So it's a statement.
So we're just having a look. Oh, it's the steering wheel's out of alignment. Oh, is he stopping there? I wonder what he's doing. Right, so I'm just getting word in my ear as well that Tomas Kiely, Dave, down the back end of the grid, warming the tyres, has lost the power steering in his car.
Well, that's not good when you're going to throw into a corner.
He's got it back. He's got it back.
You got it back?
He's got it back, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where it went.
It must have got into the bushes and then he found it again. I'll tell you what, Tomas Kiely, bit of a wild card this weekend. You don't know what to expect, but, you know, Irish fans will know that this guy is capable of winning any event on any day. He's a guy that kind of steps in and out of competition every now and again. You know, he kind of, he flirts with it, and then when he comes in and sometimes he's on form, this guy has beaten James Dean in the past, has beaten the Shanahans in the past, so, you know, he's got the credentials, but he hasn't done it at the European level. Jakub Król in a new chassis this year. We talk about it. He's smooth. He is loving this new S15, and I'll tell you what, hasn't really put too many feet wrong this whole season. Maybe needs to add that little level of aggression, but other than that, he has been so consistent, and I'll tell you what, the championship order shows that.
Yeah, it certainly does, Dave, and I think that Jakub Król needs to go that 10% more than what he's been doing so far this season, just to kind of prove himself and get himself a little further up into that championship standings. He sits on the line confident, he's got the thumbs up, he is a lower qualifier. Tomas Kiely, our wildcard driver, sits in the lead position, slots that car into gear, they get the green light ready to go, and through the chicane they come. Kiely gets a lead out. Król from Poland as they fire through the gears, down they come. Nice initiation from Kiely now. Has Król underestimated the pace from Tomas Kiely? And he has, and it wanders off the edge of the circuit now. He's going to have to play catch-up as Tomas Kiely goes super deep across the circuit, flicks it on big angle. We sacrifice a little line here, and Król's way offline, way out of formation. As Kiely gets into that last outside zone, Król goes to make a last little dive onto the door as Kiely buries the back end of the 13 into the wall.
I think we're going to see that first corner divide so many battles today, because it's so knife edge. Remember, it's not a very sharp corner, so it's a very gradual one. You've got to be on a perfect outside line, but you're going in there at 140k. So look at this. Kiely does well. Król overshoots it. Now, to me, after this, Kiely doesn't have the perfect line. However, if Król was closer, he might be getting some more points for this, but Król is in the wrong place there. Look at it. Kiely handbrakes here in a full throttle zone. However, that's not affecting Król because he's completely on the wrong line trying to catch up. So maybe if Król was closer, those mistakes from Kiely would be looked at much more severely. But he wasn't really affecting Król because Król had sort of made his decision on the first corner and overshot it. So I think Kiely gets away with a couple of errors, Król making the biggest one for me.
Yeah, I think Kiely didn't go too committed on that first outside zone either, and I think that's where it kind of upset that lead line a little bit. I wonder, Dave, as we said before the battle started, he lost the power steering, then he got it back. Has he got a power steering issue? Is it coming and going?
Well, I'll tell you what, maybe he didn't want to overcommit not knowing if he had power steering on the first corner, so he took it kind of a little bit easier. Now, I think Marston's going to have to tape every single car back together here because they're hitting the wall every single time they're on outer zone 6.
Yeah, he's doing some body work there, some
maintenance.
some repairs, some maintenance.
He's like, that spoiler looks like it'll hold. It definitely won't hold.
No, it won't hold.
said, no, that's fine. It's still,
Martin says, like, for entertainment value, if it falls off, he's in the chase position anyway, and it's going to hit no one.
If he had a vehicle inspector, he'd be a pretty easy one.
Yeah,
4 wheels, lovely.
Oh, it's fine, Off you go.
So it's going to be Kiely in the chase, Król from Poland in the lead. Now, Król may have a bit of a bigger disadvantage. We don't know what way the judges have looked at it, but definitely Kiely's going to have to push here onto the door if he wants to get the win. Król has got to be super smooth in the lead.
Yeah, he's going to have to be smooth. He's got to be aggressive. He needs to go in 10% extra. Here we go, right to the edge of the circuit. Nice and outside zone 1 from Jakub, but it opens the door for Kiely. The transition down, and Kylie's glued to the back end of that carbon Kevlar S15. Through the smoke comes Kiely, flicks it up to the side. This is an absolutely beautiful lead line from Jakub right now. Kiely goes deep and he stalls himself up and he's lost some ground now, gets himself back into it. Oh, Król tags the wall.
That was an excellent run. Król absolutely decimated the rear end of his car. I'll tell you what, really good run from both drivers. You can see Król doing a great job on the lead run, Kiely doing a great job in the chase, staying close with him. And you know what? They left it all on the track there, Ian. Definitely nothing more in either of those drivers. It's going to come down to the judges, and we'll have a look at that. I think the first corner on the first run being a big, decision maker. It looked to me pretty even Stevens on the second run. This was smooth from both.
Yeah, Krol's on an absolute flyer of a lead line. Look how wide he is, right to the edge of the circuit. Wheel on that white line, which is exactly what the judges want to see. He's deep in the zones. It was fluid. It flowed very, very nicely. I think that's one of the best runs of the circuit that Krol's done this weekend, to be honest with you, Dave. I
think it's, easy to say on the second run, better lead and better chase.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have that little mess at the first corner, we got a smoother run. We got to see the potential of both drivers, and I think it shows how good this layout is. It's phenomenal for drifting because you've got everything: speed, risk, skill, walls, snappy transitions, step-defying moves, and in the chase position, I mean, you are making decisions at such a high speed that one miscalculation and you're out of the game.
Exactly that. So there we go, our Phantom slow-mo camera back again this weekend, and we get those beautiful shots of these cars destroying tyres on circuit.
Yeah, drivers saying struggling to get the tyres to last 2 laps of the circuit.
Crazy.
Really struggling.
Crazy.
Saying that if they wanted to, if they set the wheel speed right, they could do a whole set of tyres in 1 lap. Or half a lap, some people are saying.
James Dean did that in practice on Thursday.
Yeah.
He went out, brand new pair of tyres down to the canvas.
It's insane.
And he was like, I can't do this.
So this is not going to know which way this one's going to go. Will it be Kiely? Will it be Król? It will be neither. It's a one more time between Król and Kiely. And I'll tell you what, Król looks more surprised than anyone there. And I think that's going to come down to that first corner. David, quick one on that first corner of the first run.
It doesn't come only to the first corner of the first run, but it was like big part of that because the separation started in the first corner of the first run, where Tomas was cutting in at the end of outer zone 1, which caused separation. And as we are saying, there's no good chase without good lead. When they went the opposite way, Jakub was making way better leads and give more opportunity to Tomas to provide better chase. So that was not so clear, so we send it one more time.
Well, there you have it from the judges. So a little bit of an error both ways, and a good chase from Tomas, Kiely balancing out an error on the first corner of the first run. So yeah, I can see how it all goes down. Here we go. Some beautiful Toyotas up there on the start line, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, they're too beautiful to be thrown around a concrete walled circuit in Riga. But nevertheless, they're going to do it, and they've been doing it for years and years now. Conor Shanahan sits on the line in the lead position to take on Yves Meyer from Switzerland. Isn't that incredible? That beautiful A90 Supra. I love it in the yellow, Dave. And I would never buy a yellow car.
Yeah, but I got to say, Yves Meyer looking very strong every round, getting better and better. Shanahan though needs to, he needs a podium. He wants to start, resurging here. This championship hasn't gone his way for 3 rounds, and Meyer will say, if I take down last year's champion, well, I'm back in business. So a lot on the line here as they head to that first corner.
Yeah, through the gears, Shanahan flicks that car to angle, and Yves Meyer struggles to put that car on angle. The grip, the pace from Shanahan is absolutely mad right now as he puts the car right where he needs it to be. Yves Meyer shortcutting the circuit massively to make a dive down there on outside zone 5. Through the smoke goes Meyer, up into the wall goes Shanahan now. Yves Meyer into the pocket, into the zone, dives up into the door and gives Shanahan a little fight across the line.
Well, I gotta say, a moment there Yves backed off, but he came back right swinging at the end. Conor Shanahan, I think that was a very calculated run, a sweet run. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't go anything crazy. He knew he just put a solid lead run on the board. They've had turbo issues, and they put 4 turbos on this car this weekend.
Yeah, incredible.
But for me, it's just the only thing I can see is Meyer here. He gets caught for pace with Shanahan a little bit, and he has to go on very shallow angle through the first corner just to stay in the fight. And while he is trying to do that for proximity, he doesn't get the proximity until very late in the run. So he's going to get, marked down for this kind of cutting of the track at this point. However, when he does catch up to Shanahan, beautiful run from there from Meyer. This transition for me was great. Transition back. eyed up his opponent, got into the pocket and made it work.
Yeah, and you know, looking back, he was out of outside zone 1. He shortcut probably outside zone 2 as well. But, you know, looking at it from there, from the drone shots, he didn't shortcut too bad.
No.
It wasn't like he was driving through the track to make a dive. Yeah, it was scrappy and Shanahan had the pace, but now Shanahan has to battle, you know, with himself to try not to overdrive that GT86 against Yves Meyer, who hasn't really made a move in the championship yet.
No, but this could be a big moment for Yves Meyer and the Drift Force team as they come off the line. They've got the 2023 champion hunting them down, and Shanahan not letting Meyer away here in the first corner.
No, look at that big weight transfer for Yves Meyer, and Shanahan tucks up onto the back bumper, but Yves Meyer was out of the outside zone. Flicks the car across the circuit, now starts to get into formation. Shanahan takes the opportunity. Back on that qualifying line goes Meyer, and Shanahan keeps his distance for the moment. A little waver and a wobble there from Meyer as he gets himself into the outside zone. Shanahan shallows up the angle, now starts to apply the pressure.
Very clever driving from Conor Shanahan there. You can tell he didn't overcommit at any point on the track. He was waiting to see what Meyer would do. And Meyer, if he'd pulled out a 90-plus lead run, might have had much more of an advantage on Shanahan than if Shanahan played it safe. It was a dangerous game, but Meyer does make mistakes in that lead position, which Shanahan would have got caught up in if he didn't hold that. And I've got to say the proximity at the start was pretty good, but Meyer drops out of the outer zone pretty heavily here. So he's on the wrong line through that first corner, and Shanahan kind of has to go on the inside of the track. From there, Meyer starts to tidy it up. Shanahan getting on the inside. So insane to watch these cars at this speed, that close together. It's nuts.
And Shanahan's blind most of this. Look at it, you can't even see where he is. Transitions through the smoke. It's just incredible.
And right here, you can see Shanahan just backs off. Meyer has a little wobble, and Shanahan doesn't get the proximity straight away. Has to kind of come off the throttle to get a little bit more grip in the car to get up onto the door. Does by the end. Nothing spectacular from Conor Shanahan, but probably no mistakes either.
And I think he did exactly what I said he doesn't have to do. He didn't overdrive the car. He didn't push too hard. He kept 20% back.
I think he was thinking, you know, I'll give it as much as I need to.
Yeah.
And if we go one more time, I can always push on again. Meyer, I think that's probably the best 2 runs on a battle he's done this year. Phenomenal progress from the Swiss driver. He's getting better and better and better. And that's what it's all about. It's all about progress. Let's see which way the judges go. And it's going to be Conor Shanahan going through to the top 16. I don't think anybody watching on would be surprised by that. Very calculated, very safe, no mistakes. And Meyer, just that lead run, making a couple of errors, that dropping out of the outer zone and stuff. At this level, you just can't afford to make any errors.
No, you have to be pinpoint perfect every single part of the circuit, and that's hard to do, especially 3 days in now, Dave. These guys have been driving these cars. It's hot out there on circuit. Yeah, there's a few clouds in the sky today, but it's still very, very warm. And you know what? That's tiring. And a lot of drivers are saying that they're tired after 3 days now.
A lot of the drivers also saying that the top 32 battle is almost the most nerve-wracking of the weekend.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, if you get to 16, top 16 main event, it's not a bad weekend. So you got to get through qualifying, get through the top 32. Then you can say, look, anything after there is a bonus. So, you know, a lot of these guys relieved. You can see the relief on their faces getting into top 16. We move on. Adam Zalewski, he's on form. He is absolutely flying this year, Adam Zalewski. New engine in the car and a new mentality, and he is looking really strong. But he's coming up against a guy that was super strong in Finland. Juha Pöytälaakso from Finland. Polish driver will not underestimate Juha. Juha's taken a big old run up here at Adam Zalewski. So this is going to be interesting to see how the pace is matched here. Zalewski's been a winner here on this track before. Can he do it again? Pöytälaakso hunted him down.
Yeah, through the gears. Look at this. Pöytälaakso gives him the room to maneuver. Fails to initiate now. This Pöytälaakso is now Zalewski 5 down. Looks for the outside zone. Picks it up lovely. He's on a really nice line now. Pöytälaakso starts to gain back some lost ground. He's shortcutting the track. It's going to be away on the inside. But Pöytälaakso, I think, has underestimated the power and the grip. Tags the back end, and Zalewski pushes him into the wall. But Zalewski deals with it and handles it across the line.
How does Zalewski keep that out of the wall? He got absolutely ran into, and he still made it work. I would say error from, I think, you look at the second transition, it looked like you had too snappy a transition, put himself in the wrong place of the track, and picked up a lot of speed towards that last zone. Firing into that first corner, again, a second initiation from Juha, kind of wobbles in there. Zalewski, no such issues in the lead position.
Yeah, it was like the car didn't react when he went to initiate, and I think that was where it all started to unveil there for Pöytälaakso. He kind of had to fight to get himself back.
Now watch
into
this,
it.
he's picking up a lot of ground here. Now when he transitions, this is too snappy for me. Goes on the snap, but he's on the inside. Watch, he has to kind of half straighten to stay out there. And now he's coming at way more pace to the wall than Zalewski is, and he just bumps him. And look at that, Zalewski hits the wall and stays in it. Left foot breaks it. Very clever driving from both to actually not have a huge collision there.
Here we go, bam, look at that.
It's kind of what we want to see.
He hit him twice.
He hit him twice. But I'll tell you what, you know, if you're pushing that hard, these guys are, they're not backing down. They don't want it to be at the end of the weekend. They want
the side of the car is destroyed on Pöytälaakso's
so it actually,
BMW.
Yeah, a little heavier than we thought. It is a car hitting another car.
I was just going to say, if that was on the road, you'd be...
there'd be a whole, like...
You wouldn't be getting it home.
No. Did it close the road? There'd be a big investigation. Here it's just boop, and away we go again.
You have a Polish man with some side cutters removing the bumper. And on you go.
Marston's like, if I take all of it off, you can't hit it anymore.
Oh, look at this.
He's not happy.
But he knows he's made a mistake. That's the problem.
And what do you do now in the lead position? It's a tough place to be.
Well, I mean, he just has to go out there and run a 100-point run and hope that he can put some ground between himself and Zalewski. It's hard to do. Zalewski's in the zone. He's smiling. We haven't seen that. There's a few drivers this year and last year that haven't had a smile on their face. They've not been enjoying it. They're here, but it's gritty. There's a sour taste in the back of their mouth. Now, for Zalewski, he's smiling. That's dangerous when a driver feels comfortable.
When you see confidence in a car that's working, especially in Zalewski's case, last year was an absolute disaster. Every round the car let him down. This year it's working, and I'll tell you what, he looks like once the car is working, we know how good he is. So he's now in the chase position, taking a big old run up here as well. He knows that if he pins this to the door of Juha the whole way around that track, this is his. But he can't afford it to be too aggressive, I think. He's got a massive advantage already.
Yeah, he needs to do what Conor Shanahan did and rein back 10% and leave some in the pocket, ready to get out when he needs it. Here we go, off the line they come. Pöytälaakso piloting that BMW down to initiation. Zalewski keeps it clean. And you can see Pöytälaakso, they're having to re-initiate once again. That car not reacting, but Zalewski's not going to put 10% in the pocket. He's going to put 110% on track as he fires through the smoke. He wants the door, he wants to get the glory, he wants to know he can do it when it counts. Pöytälaakso leads him into that last outside zone. Zalewski loses some ground and now starts to gain it back as Pöytälaakso puts the back end of that car across the line.
Juha definitely doing everything he could in that lead position to stay in the fight. Really good run from him, but I don't think it's enough to overturn the big mistake from the first half. I mean, he hit Zalewski pretty heavy. He made some errors in the chase, reinitiated. I think this is going to be a tale of the first half of the battle, and that's going to swing towards Zalewski. That's my first thought process here. Got to say, though, there was everything on track here. I got to commend Juha Pöytälaakso and the fact that he did an incredible lead run. And you got to commend Zalewski for pushing hard when he didn't need to. Yeah, he didn't need to do what he did, to be fair. And he was brave on the transitions. Look how close he is. He kind of risked it a little bit there. You can see it on the onboard. Look at this, wheel to wheel on the rear. And Zalewski blind on those transitions. Incredible stuff. It was an unbelievable last outer zone for Pöytälaakso too, because he absolutely sent it into the wall and got it to work. But I think the shake of the head here probably will, it'll probably tell the story from Zalewski. I think he's hyped for this result. I think he feels it. His spotter's been on the radio. He says, this could be yours, Adam. And it is. Adam Zalewski gets the win and goes through to the top 16. No major surprises there. And I think the judges not having too much to think about other than the one more time so far. It's not going to be easy all the way through. I was just going to say, the only problem is that we find is that if top 32 is a bit of a breeze and the battles kind of decide themselves, top 16 will be an absolute slugfest of going backwards and forwards and split judging decisions and one more time. Well, here we go. Massive battle on the line for the championship. Duane McKeever, if he wants to be the 2024 Drift Masters champion, I'm going to put it out there, has to beat Juha Rintanen here. Yes. And Rintanen has had a good season so far, but if he wants to jump into the top 5 this championship, he's got to beat McKeever here. That's simple as, because you're past the halfway point of the championship. The points there's only so many points left on the board. McKeever is up against one of the most talented drivers on the grid in the Finn, Juha Rintanen, and he's got to be inch perfect. This is going to be a wild one to watch. Yeah, this is going to be wild. 2 heavy hitters, 2 OGs have drifted to fire in. Big grips up on the car. Look at the separation already. McKeever is absolutely ungone, but now Rintanen makes a fire back. He makes a dive down the inside. As McKeever goes nice and wide through the centre of the circuit, Rintanen goes for another dive. But McKeever's playing it safe. Oh! And Rintanen cuts his nose off to spy his face as he gets caught up on the inside. McKeever goes to the wall. Rintanen knows he just threw that one away. You know, it happens in the blink of an eye. Yeah. You make a decision in the car, and instantly you know, I've made the wrong decision. I think Rintanen, one of the things was, McKeever goes on big angle. I'm going to break it down for you here, Ian, just what I saw. First corner, Rintanen gets caught a little bit for pace. He goes in, he's following the qualifying line, but it might have been clever to be a little bit more on the inside to stay with McKeever. Yeah. Because at that point, he's now playing catch-up through the rest of the course. You can see he's right up on the curb here. He does get back into this, but I'll tell you what happens right now. He takes a snappy transition, and now he's on the inside of the track. McKeever goes on big angle, and Rintanen's on too much pace. He's got to hold the angle longer than he wants to, so he's a very late transition, which allows McKeever to get away. Watch this, he's on the inside, he's squeezed between McKeever and the wall, yes, and it's really clever from Rintanen to hit the front brake and not cause a collision, but it puts him on the wrong part of the track after that, and it's just exaggerating the problem for the judges.
Yeah.
Where McKeever obviously has no idea any of this is going on behind him, just doing what he does in his lead run. Now we switch it around. McKeever, I would say, can smell the blood in the water. Rintanen's made a mistake. McKeever's made no mistake. But Rintanen's capable of a very, very solid lead run here. So Rintanen's got to be super fast and hope McKeever can hang, because that's the only way we're going to turn this one back around.
Well, there we go. Rintanen to lead out McKeever for a spot in the top 16 away to McKeever. Look at this from McKeever. McKeever down on the inside, looking for the door as Rintanen fires on the angle, fires it up onto the curb, but it's not shaking McKeever. They come through the centre and separation opens up as Rintanen now fires it on big angle. McKeever washes wide. He gets lost in the smoke, has to make a dive, but he's lost Rintanen. Now Rintanen's up on the wall and God, and McKeever has to shortcut the outside zone.
Oh, it got messy towards the end. And McKeever, to me, was winning that battle undeniably up until the second transition.
Did McKeever hit the wall there? Because it looked to me like he was testing the steering coming back. I wonder if he hit the wall with the rear of the car.
I think from my perspective, it looks like, you know, the second half of both runs almost identical in terms of mistakes. This was definitely better from
bravery.
Yeah, look at that. He's so close there, McKeever. That's a big advantage over what Rintanen did. When they transition back, it's looking like McKeever has it all in his hands now. But watch this transition again. Look at the angle from Rintanen. And look, McKeever goes way wide here and gets caught in the smoke, and he has to back off. He's not sure where he is, and he loses Rintanen dramatically at that point. So a similar area where both drivers make mistakes. However, the first corner to me looked much stronger from McKeever in terms of proximity. So will it come down to that?
I'm just taking a look back at this and seeing a nice shot on the onboard here of McKeever coming into that last outside zone.
He's got no proximity there, but then Rintanen had no proximity really until the end either. So to me, it looks like from halfway through the course on both runs, we got mistakes from both Rintanen and McKeever. First corner, to me, the bravery of McKeever on the on that proximity, is that what's going to weigh it over his way? I'm not sure. Could go either way.
I'm gonna leave my guesses until later on today.
I'm being confident today. I'm going in with some big opinions here.
You've come in hot already today. I'm going to leave a lot. I'm going to not say too much about those.
I'm going to be humbled pretty quick, I'm sure, somewhere along the line. Let's see what happens as the decisions drop in.
Yeah.
It's a one more time is the first vote, and one more time it's a split decision.
I could see the one more time. I could see the one more time.
So I was thinking, I'm going to go back to David on this one. David, I was just thinking first corner, McKeever a little bit better, big mistakes from both drivers at the end. But you guys, what way did you break that one down?
Yeah, everything goes to the without good leads, there is no good chase. When Duane was leading, he had a wheel off. And then he had like pretty strange transition from 5 to 6, which changed the line of the chaser. Then we switched the positions, and Duane was way more on Juha in the first corner. But then Juha did very similar mistake at outer zone 5, which affected the chaser again. So for me and Kevin, it was more like one more time. Vernon was saying that the lead of Duane affected Juha more, so that's why he was for Juha.
There you go. That makes perfect. You can see it here on the side-by-side. A very interesting watch here. Both making this almost a meal of this area of the track, right? Yeah. You see Rintanen on the inside of the track, McKeever way back. So, you know what? I'm actually okay with the one more time call, because I think neither driver got to show their true worth there. That was some uncharacteristic mistakes, and we want to see a fair fight.
And I'm never sad to see more drifting. So
Absolutely.
We're going to go back to a one more time battle. Tomas, Kiely versus Jakub, Król, Ireland versus Poland. And that's why I think I'm going to be a little bit reserved until we get the lay of the land in top 16.
I'm back in my box now.
Yeah, get back in your box, Dave. Because I think there's going to be so many little factors that are going to rise their heads.
Well, we're giving emotional opinion as opposed to, I would say, the dedicated technical analysis that the judges give it. They're not giving it with any level of excitement or emotion. It's just technical. We're a little bit more involved, a little bit more invested. We want to see cool drifting and people winning and losing and walls and crashing and stuff like you guys do. So we'll give you our opinion, but it doesn't always count for a whole lot. As we go to the one more time between Tomas, Kiely and Jakub, Król. This one couldn't be separated. Will there be a shining light this time around?
Well, there has to be right now for one of these drivers. A nice flick to initiation from Kiely. Dives on the angle. And you almost lose Jakub, Król in a cloud of smoke. And once again, Jakub, Król lost. He now shortcuts the circuit. Wheel up on the inside. He fires through the smoke. Kiely going to go way shallow low on the outside zone as he fires back. Król on the inside. Jakub, Król doesn't doesn't seem to have an answer right now as Kiely puts the back end of that S13 into the wall once again.
You know what, it seems to be a very difficult task to be perfect everywhere on the circuit. You can do an amazing entry, amazing second corner, and then just make a mistake, and that's what Kiely did there. He made a big error. So, you know, this flick to initiation was spectacular, and everything looks great, and all of a sudden when he goes to outer zone 4, it looked like to me things just kind of unraveled a little bit. Now Jakub Król not really bringing the fight too much in the first half of the course, but not making me, oh, look at that wheel over the grass. Didn't spot that from the other side. We didn't see it with Kiely's smoke. As he transitions here, this is Kiely kind of needs to be braver here, but he kind of comes off the power, lets the car grip up, and this allows Król back into the fight.
Yeah, Król not really taking the advantage though. He kept on the inside. He still had a little bit of lack of pace there, I'd say. It was only right to the end of the run that he managed to gain back anything in the fight against Kiely, and I think
this one's still in the balance.
There is
Kiely is losing
less and less.
Look at that, I don't even know what that is falling out the back of that car. Oh, there you go, another bit, something. So, yeah, don't worry, their rear brake lights are up on the high part of the rear window, so they lose they're not really brake lights. They're just, they're just stickers.
Fake, stickers.
They're stickers, so yeah, they're not breaking lights all the time. Here we go, second half of the run. Jakub Król in the lead, Tomas Kiely in the chase, and Kiely's got left nap, but he's got a problem here.
Yeah, it looks like Kiely can't get the grip down, and Jakub Król fires it in, and now Kiely does find the power. It's on the inside, he's going to pinch himself now. Can he make it work? He can, as Jakub Król doesn't go as wide as we'd like to see him, and that opens the door for Kiely. Kiely now taking a step in, an advantage from the bad lead line of Jakub Król. Król gets into the wall, bad, and there's a big incident.
Oh. Big mistake from Jakub Król. Hopefully he's okay. That was a big hit with the wall, Ian.
Yeah, it was a big hit with the wall. You could see it coming, though, the way he had approached that outside zone. He, like you said yesterday, Dave, a lot of these guys triangulate in that last outside zone if they're on the wrong line. And look at this. Kiely backs up to make sure that Jakub Król's okay.
Yeah, just give him a thumbs up from driver to driver to make sure he's okay. And it looks like he is okay. The car, on the other hand, doesn't look like it's okay. I was just about to say up until that point, this battle was kind of in the balance. You know, there was some mistakes from both drivers. Kiely caught napping on the start line. Jakub Król missing outer zones. And I was thinking, oh, it's going to be a messy one for the judges, but then Jakub Król just makes the biggest error of all and goes in the wall, and I think that might be the end of the weekend there. Oh, heartbreaking to see after making, we just literally said he made so little errors all season, and this is a big one.
Yeah, tough day for Jakub Król.
And that is such a beautiful car to go into the wall and be so damaged. But then again, I feel like nobody gets away with it in Drift Masters. No car gets away with it.
No one gets away with it. It's a war of nutrition, as we say. It's a tough day. These cars are pushed to the limit. You see where it all went wrong. I think for me, Jakub Król was not on the best lead line. He came up a little short here. Sorry, went a little wide here, and then he went too early here. Look how early he gets to this zone. But he's carrying a lot of speed.
That's a heavier hit than I thought the first time. That's a big hit with the wall.
Yeah. So Kiely's sitting on that side of the car as well. So he literally had the back end of that S15 hit him in the face almost.
Yeah. Oh, you see it right here from the other side. Hits the wall, goes in hard, and Kiely gets the door.
Yeah.
Now, you take the door over any other part of the car, but that's a big hit. Thankfully, both drivers okay. It is the risk here in Riga, Ian. Every year. We see
every
year we see some carnage, and you might say, why do they make it so dangerous? Well, how are you going to divide the best in the world apart unless you make it this dangerous? You have to make it official, and it is going to be Tomas Kiely. Wildcard entry goes through to the top 16. Jakub Król, this is probably, I would say, his worst result this year.
Yeah.
And even more disheartening to go into the wall and have so much damage to fix before Hungary in a very short time frame to get ready again. And they will have to pick that car up and remove it from the track, straighten up some concrete walls. Not what we wanted to see.
No, certainly not, and not what Jakub Król wanted for this event this weekend. He was quietly confident down in the paddock earlier on. We went down and had a chat with him.
And the fans here, you know, they're all drift fans, so they know they want to see action. They want to see their favorite driver win, but they don't want to see crashes where, you know, they know these guys are always on a shoestring budget to try and keep going to every single round. It's a very expensive sport. You're going through so many tires and fuel, and we're going to get a quick word with Becky Evans. Becky, you're down with Jakub, and this is just not what he wants to see right now, his car being lifted off circuit.
Absolutely, Dave. Jakub, obviously with anything like this, are you okay? That's the first thing we want to know.
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. But the car is in the worst condition. But it is what it is. It's a motorsport. It's a one mistake motorsport. So yeah, I'm fine, but the car is wrecked.
Can you tell us from your point of view what happened there?
I was trying to push so hard. I know that I have not so good chase run, so I'm trying to be as fast as possible. I was too fast on the last corner. I hit the wall, and I have nothing to do. I hit in the front, first of all by the rear, and then on the front. So yeah, that's what happened.
Unfortunately, these walls are not forgiving. To say to our spectators at home, it is if you get a small tap at the back, it will pull the front end in.
Yeah, it's difficult. That was a huge hit. To be honest, I was passenger in my car after the hit of the rear of the car.
Okay, well, we're glad you're okay. I'm sorry about this, Jakub. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, you got to feel for Jakub Król there. I mean, beautiful chassis that they built this year, and it's worked. It's really been on rails all the way through the first 3 rounds. But this is what happens. You know, you feel psychologically as a driver, I need to do more. I need to be impressive to get back in the fight, because you know, we say these guys are willing to put, you know, their cars on the line. We're not exaggerating in that sense.
No,
they are, like, this is I'm not going to put it out there, probably a €200,000 car that has no insurance and is just out there doing, you know, these guys are trying to fund this and keep it moving. And then when you get a hit like that, you don't want to lose, because you've built the car to win, but then you also can have this happen where you try and win a little too hard, and then you've got a huge amount of repairs to do, and then you put more strain on the team to get this car fixed, more strain on the finances. So Jakub Król is going to go into that pits, and his team are going to know there's a big uphill battle to get to Hungary from here.
Well, I mean, he's turned a few wheels into trapeziums out there, Dave. He's turned them into oddball shapes by hitting the wall, and you know what? That's not good. That's not good for him and the team, and you know, it's going to be he's going to have shaken him as he goes into Hungary, and again, Hungary, another track that he's not forgiving.
I love this. All the fans giving him a big round of applause as he leaves the track. They know the effort that these guys are putting into it. What is a sport that is growing so fast but still demands so much independently for the driver, you know, and individually it demands so much of your life and your commitment. And as I said, you can see Jakub looking at the front corner of that car saying this is not going to be an easy repair. No, it's not. And like you say, an uphill battle to get himself ready for Hungary. And as I mentioned, Hungary, again, another circuit there's unforgiving, plenty of walls around that place, and a nice fast initiation as well, Dave. And we noticed after Finland, I mean, we took a walk. Once the cameras had shut off and all the champagne had settled, there was a lot of damage done there. There was a lot of drivers heading to Riga to frame rails, to jigs, to pull chassis, not even replace car, but replace, you know, chassis parts. So here we go, we move it on to another all BMW battle between Alex Holovnia and Kevin Piskolty. Now, Piskolty, heartbreak in Finland. He doesn't even make it to the start line of his top 32 battle with a leak on the car. And
no, it was half shaft. Sorry,
half shaft, you're right.
Sorry, mate.
Half shaft went on the car, and then, you know what, he's here, he said he's smiling, he's having a good time. He came up to you just before the 32 and said, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling strong. Love it here. Holovnia, another driver who goes very well in Riga. This is going to be a tough one. Both of these guys will know the credentials sitting beside them.
Exactly, now they come off the line. Through the gears they come, 2 BMWs head-to-head. 1 turbo 6-cylinder, 1 supercharged V8, and he leads down front, and look at Piskolty's up and gone. Holovnia fires wheels off the edge of the circuit. Now he's on the inside. He's completely lost as Kevin Piskolty puts that car right where he needs it to be. Big flying licks from the side of the BMW as Piskolty puts the back end to the wall, into the zone, and Holovnia has no answer for the speed and the grip from Piskolty.
Yeah, I think Holovnia got caught with the pace when he went into the first corner. He couldn't hook the car up. I think what happened a little bit was he was lost for pace. He came off the throttle a little bit to try and get grip to catch Piskolty, but it meant he didn't have enough forward bite to actually get himself on the track, and he put in wheels in the dirt.
Watch how quick Piskolty comes off this line. It's like he's like a rocket ship.
Watch Holovnia, he's handbraking, and he by the time he gets on the power, it's too late. And he does well to keep this back on the track. He just puts the foot to the floor, but it's put him on the wrong line. And when he transitions, he's in the wrong place. So this is where he has to make a big, you know, slow down again to put up on the grass, and it's all falling apart from there.
Yeah, he's playing catch-up, and he's way off that qualifying line, and he's just watching Kevin Piskolty lay down a masterclass.
I've got to say that the angle Piskolty pulled into that last outer zone was outrageous. Like, I don't know, I thought he was going to spin, and I was thinking, imagine he spun with that much of an advantage, but I don't know how he held it, but he did. I think Kevin Piskolty is looking like a bit of a dark horse this weekend.
The problem is, I love Kevin Piskolty. Got a really good relationship with Kevin behind the scenes. He's a very nice man, but he just lacks that 10% all the time. And he said to me, if I could just unlock something inside.
But you got to remember, he's not a long time drifting.
No.
I mean, he's really overachieving for someone who's done as many laps as he has. And here we go. Can he put the nail in the coffin of Alex Holovnia, or will we switch it all back around as he goes to that first corner? Wide initiation. inside of the course. Holovnia with big angles. He throws it at the edge of the course. Holovnia flirting with disaster. And Piskolty, well, he's broken the back suspension on Holovnia's car here, I think, and this is going to come down to that hit. Who was at fault? And just like that, did Holovnia come off throttle in that zone? Did he go too wide, or was Piskolty on the wrong line? I'm going to have to watch it again. I'm not making any more calls today because I'll tell you what, it can just switch around in an instant.
Where's the bravery gone, Dave?
I'll give you my honest opinion.
Yeah, okay.
It's not always right.
Yeah.
There's a disclaimer. There's an asterisk. Let me look at this again. To me, I think because Piskolty's on the inside of the track, he's picking up a lot of pace here. Holovnia goes on big angle. Now, does Holovnia think he's going off the track and come off throttle? Is what I'm thinking. Yeah, handbrakes there. Goes on big angle, up on the curb, and then Piskolty hits him. So he is slowing.
But he's also, Dave, still at a big angle past that outside zone where you would naturally expect someone to transition. Yeah, he's almost over-rotating at that outside
He's
zone.
almost controlling a spin at that point.
And look how far he goes past. Ready? Now you'd want to be transitioning.
Yeah.
That was where you'd be wanting to rotate the car across the circuit to get that wall. And that's why Piskolty was in that position.
Does he leave Piskolty nowhere to go? I think that's probably where I'm leaning at the moment.
Yeah. Do we just agree, dude?
It won't happen again, I promise.
For everyone watching.
Let's see, we could be wrong. Let's see which way the judges go. And it is the obvious call. Kevin Piskolty gets the win and goes through to the top 16. Kevin Piskolty advancing to the next round. And strange reactions from both drivers there, as I'm not sure if they've seen the result right now. But we're going to go back to you, David. Just a quick one on which way you thought it's gone.
Yeah, as we said in the beginning, we are really watching on the deceleration zones on this track. And there is no deceleration zone at outer zone 5. Unfortunately, Alex was decelerating at that place and Kevin was nowhere to go. So there was the contact, and that's why we needed to call it for Kevin.
That makes sense to me. I think everyone will be in agreement there. I think, you know, he got out on that curb. He didn't have the correct situation happening. He was almost spinning, so therefore Piskolty coming at pace. It's a very fast track. That makes perfect sense. We move it on to our next battle. It's going to be two rookies in the championship this year, Conor Falvey from Ireland and Nasser Al-Harbali from El Salvador. And we still have two drivers waiting on a result on the track, so they're very confused out there.
Oh, I just took a look out the commentary tower, and I think there's another shot on screen. That was the problem, so the guys can't see it. There we go. They're going to get to see their result now, and Piskolty gets to win. I think Holovnia knew.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think Holovnia will understand it because he was pushing hard to get away from Piskolty.
Exactly. And I was thinking there was a very strange reaction when he won Kevin Piskolty there. He was just stone cold, and I'm like, that's not Kevin Piskolty.
Only us and everyone at home watching knew he'd won.
Exactly. So we go back to the line, two rookies. Conor Falvey, I mean, it's 16 years of age, but has qualified top 5 in the last 2 events here in Drift Masters in his first year. Nasser, first time qualifying into the battles here after some car troubles in the first 3 rounds. A lot on the line for both of these guys who want to prove themselves at the top level. This is going to be a very interesting battle. Falvey will be the higher qualifier to lead, and this one, well, we have no stats to go by. It's just going to be see what happens.
Yeah, this is going to be a first for everyone right now. They come off the line, through the gears down. They come on the look, and that's Al-Harbali in the car. Oh, wow, what a little dive from Al-Harbali, but he goes wide. He takes too much out of it, puts himself into a spin. And Conor Falvey, up and gone as he deals with that nudge onto the door, manages to balance that car, and he's just going to finish off this run as he works his way into the outside zone, takes the back end off that car once again on the wall, and across the line goes Falvey. You know what? I think Harbali was like, if I don't go for this, it's not going to happen. Look at the damage he's done to the back end of that car.
Nasser took a big bite out of the back of Conor Falvey, and that's at over 140 kilometers an hour. They had a collision.
He jumped forward. That car jumped forward and hit him. Falvey dealt with that well.
Yeah, Falvey dragging a lot of fiberglass back to the start line. Let's have a look at this one again. It was pretty breakneck on this first initiation. You can see how close Nasser was trying to initiate here behind Conor Falvey. Falvey's on throttle.
Oh, he's buried in the rear wheel. How did Falvey not spin?
I don't know how he stayed going, and then you can see Nasser obviously front wheel just locked on with the collision, and you know what, Nasser does well not to put this in the wall, to be honest. Stays on the throttle. If he didn't, he was going in that concrete wall. Oh.
Look at this from the drone. He's buried into the back end of S15, and Harbali knows at this point it's all over, and I think he thought they were both going to spin.
I think Nasser maybe thought at that point both cars were going to go in the wall. Yeah. So look, they got away with it.
They did get away with it.
Conor Falvey dragging his car, and it gradually unpeels as it goes through the run.
The funny thing is, you couldn't see it because there was so much smoke, but it was only when he got onto the wall you went, oh, there's a bumper off there.
Yeah, there's a lot of that car sitting behind the car, dragging along the ground. So it looks like it will be, as far as we can see, quite a sizable advantage to Conor Falvey. But we'll have to have a look. The judges might have watched something we didn't. Maybe did Conor Falvey do something we didn't see? There's a lot of damage on the back of the car that I think Marcin is going to probably say there's not enough magic tape up here to put this thing back together.
Yeah, I think our safety screw in him, Maciek Polody, is down there. Yeah, checking out the car. He gets a final say on if a car is safe to run or not. A lot of equipment in the back of these drift cars, Dave.
Radiators. Look at the radiators bent in the back of the car as well.
Yeah, radiators, water pumps, fuel tanks, the whole lot. So they will make sure that car is safe to go. I have a feeling here they're going to send Falvey to the paddock to just remove the back end, give him a competition timeout to remove the back end or repair the back end, and then he'll be back out for competition.
Yeah, so we just heard it from the marshals in my headset that Conor Falvey's car deemed not easy to repair on the start line.
Yeah.
He is not deemed at fault for the collision. Nasser Al-Harbali is deemed at fault. Or is he just going to go back to the pits, or is he going to go for a run? We don't know. So, no, he's going to go back into the pits.
He's going to go back for a timeout. He has a 10-minute competition timeout now. And then that is purely, like you say, Dave, it's not to make any mechanical changes. It's just
secure the back end of the car.
Cosmetics,
just to secure the back end of the car, because obviously that's a distraction for the driver if half the car is falling off as you go around the run. I'm not sure Conor Falvey gets distracted by much with that car. Usually the back end is always falling off the back of the car. But it would have seemed that he would go back into the pits, and the team behind the scenes have been definitely doing a lot of work on cosmetics with Conor Falvey's car over the last couple of rounds.
Yes, they certainly are. And I've just been told in my headset there's also potentially a problem with the hydraulic handbrake in Falvey's car after the incident.
Okay, so there might have been more to the collision than we thought.
Well, I mean, look, if the fiberglass panels come down, if the rear wheel has hit and a brake line's been damaged, that could be a worse repair, a harder repair.
Because
than
you look at it now, and you look at it now, and you say, oh, it's a bump.
Yeah.
But it's a bump at 140k.
Yeah.
So it's no matter what you see it with Jakub Król, he bounces into the wall. You go, well, then you just see the damage.
Yeah.
Because you forget the speed that these guys are traveling at. So Conor Falvey heads back into his pit area to assess the damage, see if everything's all right. He will sit with an advantage. To me, it looks like a big advantage after the first run. However, we now move back to the one more time between Duane McKeever and Juha Rintanen. Now, this one had a lot of errors, very uncharacteristically for McKeever and Rintanen, who very rarely make that many errors. But it's maybe a little bit of nerves in the top 32, maybe a little bit of pressure on shoulders for a weekend that they said they were pushing a little bit beyond their limits. They want to tidy it up here.
For me, I think this comes down to both of these guys. Rintanen, at this point last year, was third, second in the championship. He was hunting it down. He was in the contention for it. For me, Duane McKeever, he was having a lot of problems last year, so now he has that pressure, but Rintanen just wants some points on the board or a podium this year to make it all worth it, all the hard work, all the hours. For me, now, McKeever's trying to get that championship off of Heinen as we head into Hungary, so who does it mean more to right now? The trophy for Rintanen, the points for McKeever?
I think both, because they both want to win and they won't care about anything that's happening outside of the cockpit of that car right now as they fire through the gears. McKeever in the lead position, Rintanen chasing him, and Rintanen very close. This time, much more proximity. Rintanen's way too fast. Rintanen goes way too fast off the circuit. That, to me, looked like he threw the dice and it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, Rintanen's been having a bad weekend all weekend so far, and I think this is just going to play out constantly over this weekend. It's going to be one of those events where Rintanen's going to have to say, look, we forget this one, we reset, we look for Hungary. But that was wild. He had to throw it in there, though, Dave. He knows how fast McKeever is now. And McKeever would have turned that car up more.
I think it's incredibly difficult to be very close on that first corner.
Yeah.
Because you're chasing, while obviously trying to, let off throttle a little bit to get the proximity, but also having to have enough throttle on to not go off the track. And I think you find very quickly which is working and not working. Rintanen, I thought this was going in the wall. Just at this point here, I thought he's going flying off the track.
He dealt with it very well, and another driver that kept the composure and knew exactly what to do. Kept the foot in, kept the throttle, kept the wheels spinning. Look at that, it's 4 wheels off track as he collects that cone straight under the car, spits it out the back and says, right, well, we'll just try and continue, but I know this one's 1 foot out of the top 16.
We're watching a lot of drivers, eliminate themselves as opposed to the judging them right now, and this shows. I always say when that happens, it shows how difficult the track is and how high the level is, because they're not content with. I mean, every one of these drivers can go around this track drifting, no problem. It's how much they're pushing to know that their opponent They don't want to lose by being, you know, at 50% or 60%. Then you look at Conor, Shanahan, and a couple of guys who did play the game, and it worked for them. So it's hard to know. Rintanen now is in the lead. He's got a big disadvantage. McKeever's got to keep it clean here.
Yeah, I wonder if McKeever's now going to keep it clean. Is McKeever going to play the safe game? Rintanen goes for the outside zone and works it out. And now McKeever dives down the inside. He's going to keep this one cool and calm and collected as he makes a dive through the middle of the circuit. This one works out for both of them. Oh, and look at that from McKeever. Takes a dive right at the last moment, looks for that last outside zone and just says to the judges, I can still get this one done.
Yeah, I think McKeever probably looked at that as a free chance for a competitive chase run, because he knew he's pretty much had it in the bag, and therefore, why would I back off? I can get some practice here against a really fast car. I would have not done that because it would have been a huge risk, but he did it, and he's obviously confident enough to do it, which is another side of things, right? He's confident enough to go that close, even when he doesn't need to. So, but then I'm also thinking about it going, how difficult is this track if you do back off with the smoke trail, right? Because you might not be able to see anything, so maybe being closer is actually easier. This was a great transition from McKeever.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
And to be honest, Rintanen didn't really do anything wrong in that whole run. It's the best lead run I think he's done all weekend. So he gave it all he could, Rintanen, but that mistake on the first corner of going off the track, 4 wheels off, maybe is all she wrote this weekend here in Riga at round 4 of Drift Masters. And McKeever needed the win. He needed it for the championship. Will he get it? He will, and McKeever goes through to the top 16, and that's the championship still very much alive for Duane McKeever. I feel if you go out of top 32 here and you're in that top 3 or 4, it could be the end of your run. You're going to lose so many points.
Yeah, and I mean, look,
because somebody else is going to get them.
And you look at the guys that are driving incredibly well all weekend, so it's a tough one to deal with. Here we go, back on the line, Oliver Randaloo from Estonia to take on Kvyat from Norway. Kvyat, again, another driver that's not really found some form this year, same as... I thought he was waving the camera over to say I've got a problem there, but he wasn't. And same for Randaloo. Randaloo, really, this new chassis hasn't really found any fortune. He's laser focused. Look at this. He doesn't even want to look at the camera. He's in the zone, ready to rock and roll. He slots the car into gear. They get the green light. It's going to be Kvyat to lead out Randaloo for a spot in the top 16 as they come flying down. Big flick across the circuit for Kvyat. The Norwegian sledgehammer absolutely ungot Randaloo. Nothing in this one at the moment. Kvyat flicks it from left to right. In front of the grandstand, big angle from Kvyat, the style back in display as Kvyat now looks for the wall. Randaloo, will he make a dive onto the door? He needs to do something to get himself into this one. Slots into formation and pushes Kvyat across the line.
You know what? That's a phenomenal lead run from Torin Kvyat. He really put, I mean, if he had done that in qualifying yesterday, he would be way up the order. Qualified 12th, you're talking about a top 5 run there.
Yeah, easy.
So obviously that top 32 practice has played into the hands of Kvyat there. He's improved a lot. I don't think Randaloo makes any major errors. He just can't catch him.
Just trying to watch Randaloo there on the inside. Look at Kvyat taking a little look over to see if he's on the door, and Kvyat looks so collected. The car looks absolutely dialed, and Randaloo, yeah, I mean, I just don't think he had the pace of that first outside zone. And Kvyat's car, again, another car like a rocket ship that up and gone. And I think if you lose that momentum down into the run into initiation, and you give the lead car the advantage to drive away, it's very hard to gain it back.
Oh, look at this shot.
Randaloo
buried into the side of Torin Kvyat.
He's like, well, if I can't win the battle, I'll put my tyre on your door and leave you with something to go home with. That's a beautiful shot.
It's kind of ridiculous when you just take a think about it.
I don't know.
You just look at it and go, what are they doing?
They're that third gear, full throttle around a concrete wall in Riga.
Pushing the door in. Yeah. Here we go. Switch him around. Kvyat in the chase. I think Kvyat's going to carry a small advantage here, but he can throw it all away if he gets too aggressive and makes a mistake. He's going to have to walk the tightrope here.
Yeah, he is, and he's dancing with the devil right now. Down the inside. That's the closest we've seen anyone. Look at Kvyat, no messing around. Randaloo on an absolute beautiful lead line, but it's opening the door for Kvyat. Kvyat through the smoke in front of the grandstand, takes the back end off of Randaloo's car. They transition into the final outside zone. Kvyat loses some ground. Now looks for the front wheel. Now repays the favour onto the door.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
That ridiculous. Is insane.
What did he try to do there? There was no need at all. That was the best. I think that's one of the best chase runs I've seen.
I didn't even expect to see that coming. It almost tagged him on initiation. Watch this from Kvyat. That is pure bravery.
didn't even think proximity like this was... Look at the transitions.
Watch this, he drives up the inside here, look, accelerates, gets the zone better than Randaloo.
And this transition, I thought he was going to hit him. I was like, there's no way.
Oh, he does hit him. He takes the back bumper off, unhitches the boot lid.
What an outrageous display from Bikernieki. Unbelievable.
Now, if he's on this good of a form in top 32...
Oh, I know where you're going. I know where you're going with this.
That's all I'm saying. I'm no more.
He's back, baby.
Here's the hammer bag. It's hammer time.
It's hammer time. That was phenomenal. Highlight reel upon highlight reel this man has been involved in. And it hasn't been for a while, but that was sensational. Is it going to go as predictably as we think? You're absolutely right. It is. Bikernieki from Norway goes through to the top 16, trying to turn a second half of the season. You can see what it means to him. Poor first 3 rounds by his standards. Well, I'll tell you what, he was taking no chances there. I'll tell you what, we're going to go into Becky Evans, see where Conor Falvey is. He took a big hit on the first run, Becky. What's going on there? A lot of commotion.
He absolutely did take a big hit there on that first outer zone, which, from what Conor is telling us, as soon as he took that hit from NASA, he lost all brakes. I'm talking handbrake, foot brake. He managed to continue the run and keep it all in one piece, which is an incredible feat of driving from the young man from Cork. They brought the car in, they had a look at the brake lines to see maybe if it was that. It wasn't, so actually what they've done is bled the brakes. They also found a leak from the brake fluid reservoir, so they're just topping that up. They're going through the checks. There's about 10 men around this car right now, making sure that that young man gets back out on the track. But as we've got about 4 minutes left. Everything's looking good. The bonnet's going back on, the wheels are back on. No, I mean, the bonnet's not back on. I thought it was going back on then, but we should be good. Connor's looking good. He's feeling strong. So back to you guys. Hopefully he'll be back out.
Yeah, well, it's taking more off the car than they're putting on it down there, just to see if it'll go back out there. We go back to a huge battle on the line. This is the one every fan from Finland has been waiting for. Lauri Heinen leading the championship. The man that said his second place qualifying run was like so-so, right?
It was the worst one he'd done all weekend.
All weekend. He's confident, but the car has had issues this weekend. He's done diffs. He's had problems. First time we've seen it this year. He said himself, it's not time to get carried away. It's time to be focused. To have a spot up from Poland, the rookie, knows the level of competition looking to his left in that yellow NASCAR engine 180 SX. And I'll tell you what, big championship moment here. Heinen goes out here. He's got problems, but he's got to be confident. He's got to be smooth. He's got to be slick, and he's definitely fast.
Oh, he's definitely fast, though. Look at this. Lauri Heinen as he fires that car across. Perfectly low so far. Spossop takes the opportunity to try and dive up into the door. The rookie looking for an opportunity to stick it to the championship leader right now. Heinen, he's in the zone. Is the machinery up to the job? And it looks like it is right now as he glues it to the wall across the line.
I've got to say, a lot of respect for David Spossop for this pace he came in.
Yeah.
He lost him a little through the first corner, but he was trying everything he had to stay in that fight. But Lauri Heinen is a rocket ship around here.
Yeah, look at the pace. Look at this from Heinen, and he's up and gone. And you can see Spossop down the inside. I'm not sure from that view, was he wheels on the white line on the inside of the circuit? We'll have to see from our judges how they score that one. That white zone down there on the inside of the track is off circuit for the drivers. Look at Heinen, he looks calm and collected. It's the machinery now, Dave, I think, that is asking the question, can I make it through a whole season of Drift Masters?
You know, it's very tough on the cars. A lot of people don't realize that, you know, these components are taking an absolute hammering.
Yeah.
You know, you don't drive a race car on the rev limiter all the time. You barely ever hit the rev limiter, and you know they're always on it.
Yeah.
You never really stamp on the clutch at full throttle and let it come off again like these guys do. So there's a lot of wear and tear on the cars, and you know, Lauri's, you know, his car has been perfect for the first 3 rounds, but it was practice here in Riga. You could start to see things breaking, things having problems, but his team are so capable right now, so focused and so passionate. They're getting that car back out every single time. David Spossop now takes the lead position. Look, I've got to say it, Lauri with the advantage from the first run, but anything can happen. It can switch either way. Lauri Heinen cannot afford to underestimate the rookie opponent here.
No, he can't, and he's waiting for the initiation. I think he's going to play this one safe. Makes a little dive on the inside, now backs off, lets Spossop get himself into the groove. Nice transition from Spossop. He's on a blinder of a lead line at the moment. He's a little shallow on the outside zone though as he flicks it. Heinen goes for a brave transition down the inside. Heinen almost makes a big error there. He played that one very carefully. Stalled up on the initiation of the transition, so he now dives onto the door across the line.
Great run from both drivers. Spossop making some errors. Heinen making some errors too, it must be said.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't 100% there from Heinen.
No.
He almost did what he did yesterday.
Yeah, overcommitted.
Yeah.
And let's see which way the judges go at the end of this one. I think it's going to be a pretty obvious call, but however, you know what? Might be a chink in the armour there. Let's see what we can look at here on the replay. Spasov, really nice lead run from Spasov. I've got to say, every round he just starts to impress me more and more. Heinen, look at this, leaning through the corner on the handbrake, staying close to Spasov. It's when they transition, Spasov does miss the outer zone 4, quite badly. And as they transition, Heinen gets caught on the wrong side of the track, has to kind of almost straighten but not straighten and kind of work himself back into it. Does repair the damage pretty well of what he did there. And I'm going to say still had a bit more than Spasov over the 2 runs. That's just my initial thoughts, but not straightforward. Let's see which way the judges go. Championship really on the line here. And it is Lauri Heinen getting the win, and the Finnish fans erupt from the grandstand because I think even they would know that was, you know what, Heinen just had too much for Spasov there, but he wasn't perfect.
No, he wasn't, and I think he's going to have to clean his act up a little bit there, Dave, through now top 16. If he advances all the way through to the final, he's going to need to refine that chase down into that outside zone 5, because he doesn't look too comfortable there.
No, and I think, look, to be honest, Heinen does make a little error in the chase. However, you can't be missing zones in the lead position, and that's what Spasov did. And when they do, you can see the judges straight away are going to lean to that lead run and say, hey, we told you where you need to be. You need to be there. Next up, we move on to a very interesting battle. 2 drivers who've never faced each other before. From the USA, Adam LZ qualifying in 18th position and Paweł Korpelinski qualifying in 15th. Korpelinski's been in the championship for quite a number of years and has podiumed a number of times. LZ first year and first time ever on the track here in Riga. So definitely the experience with Korpelinski, but you know what? I would say Adam LZ is going to enjoy the fact that he's got a very capable driver leading him in here, and a driver he can trust. So Korpelinski in that lead position, LZ in the chase. Let's see what happened. LZ and Korpelinski had a tough Finland. Let's see what happens. Can they turn it around here in Riga?
There we go, down through the gears. A nice initiation from Korpelinski. Lets that car sail to the edge of the circuit. Now gets on throttle, finds it. LZ up on the curve though, and unsettles the car. Almost puts himself into a complete spin, and now has to shut the car down. Korpelinski opens up the gap, jumps up onto the curb, uses that to force himself across the circuit into that final outside zone, and LZ out of this one as Korpelinski brings it across the line.
It looked to me like, and this is just my first thoughts, I think Adam LZ doesn't see that curb. I think he's lost in the smoke, and I think all of a sudden the back end of the car starts to lift. It looked to me like he had the right line, but he just stayed too late in it. And those curbs here are so unforgiving. Of course, they're so large because of rallycross events here, where obviously a rallycross car could easily jump over a normal curb without it affecting him. But it looked to me like on a drift car, it's not so easy.
No, it isn't so easy. And look at this, you can see Korpelinski, the way he flicked that car, he let it get into that zone. He does wander a little bit in that first outside zone, but nevertheless, he is full committed, and he rides it right out to the end. He does go super wide here, but you can see LZ up on that curb very early, and that just unloads the rear end of the car, lets the wheels spin massively, and he has to shut it down, otherwise he's going to go into the wall.
Does well, Adam LZ. We saw yesterday Pontus Hartmann have a similar issue and go straight through the wall. So it's very dangerous there. A very dangerous moment, especially when you've got so much smoke in the air, and from the lead driver, you don't know where the track is. You're just focused on them. A lot of people think, you know, in the chase position, these drivers are, you know, very accurate. They're just watching the lead car. They can see pretty much nothing else.
They're focused on a few points on the lead car, you know, the front wheel, the back bumper, the door, and that's all they're looking at. They're not really looking at the position. I think Korpelinski, he was so wide, the LZ in that formation. I don't think he knew he had to slot down the circuit to avoid that curb. Well, now they swap around LZ to lead out Korpelinski, and this one's not done until it's done. And LZ smokes tyres all the way off the line as Korpelinski fires it in. Will he play it safe? LZ drops out of the outside zone, now gets back into it again as he fires the car across the circuit. He's just going to try to drive away, but Korpelinski's not going to let that happen as they fire through outside zone 5. A little handbrake dab from LZ as he gets into that last outside zone. Korpelinski gets himself into it, now looks for the door and across the line.
Solid lead run from Adam. I mean, the first corner, he just seemed to drop out of that zone on the first corner a little bit as well, which wouldn't have hurt. It would have hurt his score on that particular one, but I think it's going to just come down to that big mistake on the curve from Adam LZ. Korpelinski making no errors over the 2 runs, and we also don't expect Korpelinski to make any errors, because that's the kind of driver he is. But yeah, look at this, outside of the zone on the first corner. Yeah, bit of a straight in there from Adam LZ as well to the first corner. Maybe just didn't hit the commitment as much as he would have liked. And Korpelinski does a good job of dealing with him when he's not on that correct line. You just see the level of violence in the car that these guys go through the courses.
And we talk about it a lot, about, you know, how much these cars are turned up. Like the engines are at their maximum, the amount of grip is at its maximum. They are not easy to drive.
No, they actually make the cars almost undrivable.
Yeah.
They have to drive over the grip.
Yeah.
So a lot of people watch drifting and say, oh, they're smoking tires. But these guys, they're more like drag cars trying to go sideways. But let's see, I think Adam LZ is shaking the head, tells the story here. As going through to the top 16 will be Paweł Korpelinski. Solid performance from the Polish driver. And he's back to his best again. You can tell that he wants to, he's looking forward to that top 16. He's been on it all weekend. Yeah. And another driver, I'm saying, is not making any errors. He's dangerous.
He is dangerous. And you know what? We used to call him the silent killer, because he would turn up to an event, he wouldn't say a lot, he'd smile, he'd do his own thing, and then before you know it, he's in the final, and you're like, where did Korpelinski come from?
I know, but that's the thing. He quietly gets about his work.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, when he does get about it, he's very impressive to watch. Another driver does a lot of sim driving, a lot of practice online, and it shows super consistent. And we move back to the start line as we have the second half of the battle between Nasser Al-Harbali and Conor Falvey. The team have replaced a lot of stuff on Conor Falvey's car after a hit between both cars. Now Nasser not able to replace anything on his car because he is deemed at fault. You can see the back end of Conor Falvey's car is in ribbons at the moment, as it always is. And Nasser Al-Harbali will be in the lead position. Conor Falvey with the advantage from the first run, but we're only halfway through this battle.
Yeah, we certainly are, Dave. There's still one half of this to go, and can Conor Falvey make it around? Is he going to play the safe game? Harbali's going to go for it. Look at this, flat out from Harbali as they fire in. Conor Falvey, though, he's not going to give up. He tucks up on the inside and takes the bumper off on the front wheel of Harbali's car. Conor Falvey just does not know when to step down. He wants to be in this one and in the fight. Loses some ground, now makes a big dive on outside zone 5. Harbali goes for the transition. Falvey goes for it early. He's going to have to work himself into the groove. Shallow angle from Falvey, but now makes a dive. Wheel to wheel, up the front wheel. Conor Falvey is a man possessed.
I have a feeling that that car is not slowing down the way he wants to. He's making hits there that I don't think he needs to make. You could tell locking the front wheel quite a considerable amount on the last corner. And Nasser Harbali gets hit. Now I'm wondering, was that after the finish line where the big hit came? But judges are going to have a look at that one.
I'm going to jump in there and make a guess that it was after the finish line.
I'll tell you one thing, Conor Falvey probably risking more than he needed to there.
Yeah, I mean, look, from watching drifting for many years and seeing other guys and the experience they have and talking to him, that he did hit him there. He couldn't slow the car down, Dave, you're right, and that car still has a problem with the brakes. He hit him on outside zone 1. Now, that will play into the hands of the judges a little bit, because he's making contact with Nasser Al-Harbali in places, and he caught a little bit of understeer there. There was a big wobble from Falvey as he come down to that inside zone. Yeah, he can't slow the car down here again.
I think he's driving this without incorrect brakes. You can see.
Oh, he's not the rear wheel.
He's on the handbrake there, but it's surging forward. It's scrappy in the chase position. I've got to give it up to Nasser. Good lead run. But a big mistake from Nasser not completing the first corner on the first run might be enough here, as they do both complete the second run. Oh,
I'm sorry.
There was a lot going on in that one.
Yeah, there was a lot. That was a slugfest between those two.
There's not much straight panels left on either of those cars in the top 32 right here. So
they fought that one out, that's for sure.
Yeah, judges having a good look at this one from all sides to see the finish line. Was the hit after the finish line? It looks to me like it could have been after the finish line, but they are going to analyze that. Let's see judges' decisions coming in. And it's Conor Falvey going through to the top 16. Judges deeming that the hit was actually after the finish line, and Nasser slowing a little bit after the finish line, and Falvey just plowed into him. Yeah. But it was after the scoring zone. So we're going to go down to Becky. You're with Conor Falvey. Well, that was a bit of a fight on track, wasn't it, Becky?
It sure was, Dave. Conor, that looked like a bit of a sketchy run. Can you give us an update on your brakes there? Obviously, congratulations on winning that, but it looked like, was the car 100%?
Yeah, to be honest, the brakes felt a bit like soft, but they felt like they were working. It's just I kind of, towards the end of it, I kind of lost my head a small bit, and I said, all right, I'm just going to go for it here. But a top 16 in Riga is all my dreams come true. So I'm really happy, and I want to thank all my team. They were straight on it when I got back. So through the top 16 now, I feel like my weekend is done. That was my dream, top 16, and I'm so happy.
We're delighted for you. I mean, the team all jumped in there for you. You were saying that you had no brakes after Nasser hit you after that first run.
Yeah, I had absolutely no brakes going onto the wall. I think the handbrakes might have worked a small bit, but I just went too much and I tapped the wall. But they seem to be okay now, so we have a bit of a break for the top 16, so they'll give the car a full check over and we'll come back fighting.
You're certainly pushing the bumper budget there, Conor. Congratulations, and we'll see you in the top 16. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Becky. Just looking back at the replays, Conor Falvey, 2 140km/h collisions in one battle, and he still gets through to the top 16. And
it's not going to get easier for him.
No.
Because I've just looked at who he's got in the top 16, and
yeah, he's got to go up against Kvyat.
Oh, Dave.
I'm not ruining it for anyone.
You just give it away to everyone.
Yeah, but they can do the maths.
They're doing the maths.
They're doing the maths.
Right, back on the start line. Big news. Jarkko Jylhä, the man from Finland, the guy who brought the car that me and Dave fell in love with, should have been on the line with Jakub Piskolty. Piskolty blew the engine in practice. The team were desperately trying to fix it. There was 4 teams in the paddock. They couldn't get to the line in time. I
saw the commotion.
It's all over for Piskolty and the team with that GR86, and that gives a bye run to Jarkko Jylhä, the Finnish driver. He's done what he needed to do. He just needed to initiate, but he's going to fulfill a full pass of the circuit. He'll take a lap now. If the track conditions have changed, how they're feeling, are they more gripped up? He's looking solid, Dave. First practice on Thursday, this guy wasn't really in the zone. Now that car is running 110%.
Wildcard national driver from Finland reaches 2 top 16s in Drift Masters in a row.
Will he do a full season next year?
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
Because that car is so cool.
God, he's a good lad.
He's a good lad. He's got a great car.
And have you seen the Chaser logo?
I have.
They changed the S to a $sign.
I like that.
Oh,
it's cool.
He needs a money suit.
It's also the only JZX I've ever seen at this level of competition in Europe. So it's really cool to see some new, different chassis out there. I don't say new, but I mean different.
Different.
He's definitely got, you know, a very different car than a lot of people out there. It's nice to see that, and the Toyota Sorovara Nielsen in there as well, making it official. Jarkko Jylhä from Finland goes through to the top 16. So Finnish fans still happy.
Well, they're going to be happy.
They got 2 out of 3 in there.
2 out of 3, and they're going to be happy now because there's another Finnish driver on the line. It's Mika Keski-Korpi in this new F22 BMW to take on the man who won this event last year, the King of Riga.
Yeah, the defending King of Riga. He doesn't want to give that crown away.
Oh, no.
And Mika Keski-Korpi is thinking, I'm pretty good in this car. I've been getting better and better.
And I'm pretty good at this track.
Yeah, and I'm good at this. I could beat Jack Shannon here. No problemo. Oh. So let's see what happens here as they come to the start line. It is Jack Shannon on the start line in the lead position. Keski-Korpi's taking a big old run at this, and he's not letting Shannon away one bit.
No, he's not. He's going to go down for it. Look at this. So Shanahan now flicks it in now, opens the throttle, tries to drive away from Keski-Korpi. Korpi lost in the smoke a little bit there. As Mika Keski-Korpi now can't find anything, and Shanahan is up and gone as they dive through the smoke. Mika Keski-Korpi goes for the wide line. Keski-Korpi pushed Shanahan in the wall.
That got messy real fast.
And I could see it coming from outside zone 5.
Yeah, Keski-Korpi on Shanahan was actually slowing a little bit by not getting wide enough, so he was losing ground, and Keski-Korpi was gaining it at a rate. Oh, look, hands on his head from Keski-Korpi. He cannot believe what's happened.
And I think, looking back, I'm going to shine a little bit into this one. If the chase car is wider outside zone 5 and the lead car is on a kind of not on the widest line, that pinch point then happens on the transition to the wall.
Yeah, and we noticed this yesterday with Więcek and McKeever, similar kind of thing. I'm not sure Shanahan was as guilty as Więcek was, but it's a similar occasion. But Shannon's car is pretty banged up here, and so is Jack Shannon himself, I think.
Yeah, and look, he's on the right-hand side of the car, so he's had to climb across the car to get out. Oh, Keski-Korpi, you know what? He's such a nice guy. He'll be more gutted that he made contact with Shanahan.
Yeah. Oh, you can see Keski-Korpi's devastated here. He cannot believe, one, he's crashed his car, but two, he's hit Jack Shanahan so dramatically. And there's big damage here.
Yeah, there's
big damage. Not what we wanted to see, not what we expected to see. 2 incredible drivers, and I think this shows that every year we come back to Riga, they're just pushing beyond the limits of what's humanly possible.
They are, and we say that quite a lot, and I think every track we visit, year on year, we bring in new circuits, but I think the circuits that we visit after multiple years, when you see them come back every year, they do more. The cars are faster, the guys are driving harder, and that's a big story.
I'll tell you what, it's a good sign that I think we may have more damage on Shanahan's car than Keski-Korpi's car, just because he hit the rear and the front.
Yeah.
Keski-Korpi's driven off the circuit, which is a good sign. But Jack Shanahan will look at that car, and as a man who built all 3 Shanahan cars in the off-season, he's watching them slowly be unbuilt as the season goes on. We can't get a good look there to see exactly how bad the damage is. It looked like he ran up along the wall, which wasn't a heavier hit than if he'd just gone straight into it, like we watched with Więcek yesterday, or Król earlier on. But yeah, not ideal. And now the judges are going to have to make a decision on who's at fault here, which then will come back to, I think, the decision on the battle, because I don't think Shanahan can compete here any further.
No, I'm just looking across to the judges who are sitting alongside us, and they're going over and over and over the replay on different angles, on different cameras, on the drones.
Yeah, well, we'll put it this way. Shanahan's on the wrong line. Not the wrong line, but not the perfect line.
I'm trying to look at the...
Keski-Korpi definitely gets lost in the smoke and fires through, but he fires through like an insane pace.
And you know what? What I said earlier, I'm looking at the replay again now, and it is true. Watch this. Shanahan is on the wrong line. Watch how far over Keski-Korpi is. I know he's carrying a lot of speed. Dial's on big angle, but look where Shanahan is. Keski-Korpi is actually more in the zone.
And then Keski-Korpi can't see anything. He fires through.
And Shanahan, oh yeah, but he's slowing, but it's a decel zone.
Yeah, Shanahan's okay. I think this is going to come down to what caused Keski-Korpi to go through. Was Keski-Korpi too aggressive?
Shanahan breaks there because he knows he's trying to extend it to get to that zone.
Look at the pace Keski-Korpi comes through here. Absolutely fires through. Hits him with the back of the car. And this is happening quite a bit now. This is something that the judges are going to have a good discussion on, because it's not an easy decision to make. As we said yesterday, it was almost like a racing incident where both drivers weren't really right in what they did.
No.
But you've got to assign fault now because there's a collision. So judges are going to have a tough call. We were saying a lot of these battles sorting themselves out. This one is definitely not. This is going to be a tough call for the judges. I can see this going either way. So Keski-Korpi's signaling to Shanahan, I don't know what I did there or why I've gone through so fast and hit you. But Keski-Korpi's definitely got blinded by the smoke of Shanahan. So
there's still no decision.
Still no decision.
So I've just been getting word in my ear, there's still no decision, and this is taking a while to recover because of the way the car was stuck on the wall, and I think this has broke both the steering arms on both sides of the car, and Keski-Korpi's being asked by a marshal what's going on, and the judges are just... This is a tough one.
So I'm 100% convinced there's an arm bent on the back of Keski-Korpi's car on the back right-hand side. Convinced. Because it was kind of crabbing off the circuit a little bit. It's definitely not 100%. There's no way after a hit like that. But Keski-Korpi's gone back to the start line.
Right, so I have word from the judges and from the guys behind the scenes that, Dave, I have some news for you. Jack Shanahan is deemed at fault for the incident. Keski-Korpi is not at fault. Shanahan deemed at fault for that incident. I don't know about you.
Yeah, but that would mean Shanahan out of competition.
Yeah.
That would be the end of his weekend. So I've got to jump back. Can we jump over to the judges, have a quick conversation? David, this looked very similar to the situation we saw yesterday with Peter and Duane. Was it the same kind of thing?
It was very similar. And to keep consistency in our judging, we were looking on it like it's very similar case. Again, outer zone 5 was not completely fulfilled, and we're also getting to one place, and that's when he's pulling the handbrake at outer zone 5. We were saying that we don't want to see any deceleration at that area, and it happened. So it made the job for Mika way harder, and also to keep the consistency from yesterday, we are calling that Jack was deemed at fault.
So 2 results over 2 days deemed exactly the same. So what the judges are saying is the lead run weighed on very heavily. If you're offline, you're putting smoke trail in the face of the chase car, and the chase car is doing nothing wrong. He's in the right place. But he can't see because you're in the wrong place, and you've caused that to happen. Where Keski-Korpi comes through the smoke, yes, could he have gone slower? Same with Duane McKeever yesterday. Could they have made changes to that? Of course. But they're at the same pace they would normally be if the lead car was doing what it was supposed to be, and Shanahan's car is absolutely wrecked by the looks of things too.
Yeah, and I mean, I can see it. You know, when I spoke to Peter Więcek this morning about it, because he said to me, like, I don't agree with everything you said, but I do agree with a lot that you said. He said, yes, I was offline. Yes, I was going to hit the wall. He said, but then there's certain points where there was contact, and I see it. You know, if the lead car is out of position, which Jack was clearly out of position there. He wasn't in outside zone 5. Yes, he was decelling as he got to outside zone 5. I see it, and I see how it plays out. And when you have Mika Keski-Korpi, okay, potentially not on the best chase line throughout the beginning of the run, but then got back on it towards outside zone 5. When you're on that zone and the lead car isn't, you can see how that contact's going to come into play.
It pinches you in, And you're Jack Shanahan, a long walk back to the pits now, and I'm not sure if he knows yet that he's been deemed at fault and will be out of competition, if I'm correct, because he cannot get that car back to the start line. And it's his birthday today. They had a good old blowing of the candles out in the pits just before top 32, but not the birthday present he wanted.
No, certainly not.
Will not defend the King of Riga title this weekend, and I can imagine a lot of emotions running through the mind of Jack Shanahan. He kind of says, I don't know, I'm not sure what happened there, but again, if you look back to yesterday, whatever you say about judges in drifting, they are consistent. They're making the same calls in the same places. So, and they have obviously explained all of these situations to the drivers in driver briefing. So we give you a little bit of what we think as we go through, but that driver briefing is about an hour long. You fell asleep in it, Ian. It's a long one.
Dave, you walked in, you looked around, you was like, I can't listen to these judges again. They're just no fun. There's no fun. There's no comedy in the briefing.
They don't juggle. They don't just talk about tracks and positioning.
If someone laughs, a driver laughs, they point at them like a school teacher, like, hey, sit down, shut up, keep quiet. You know.
So basically, we're in a situation now where the judges have given every inch of the track what happens, the outcome of that to the drivers. So we're going to get down to Becky Evans. Becky, you're with Jack Shanahan. He's deemed at fault for that. What did it look like from his position?
Yes, I've just managed to grab Jack here on his walk back to the pits. Jack, unfortunately, the judges have deemed you at fault here, and I just want to get from your point of view what happened there.
I'm not too sure. I got hit, and then I got put in the wall, and now my car's in shit. So, I don't know. In briefing this morning, they were on about the whole call with Peter. Yesterday was the exact same situation, basically. They deemed Peter at fault. I also would have deemed Peter at fault. It's my first time seeing it from the outside, actually. It is fair. I missed outer zone 4 or 5, whatever it is. But they said that Peter's run was unchaseable from the get-go in the run yesterday, and mine, I was fairly on all the zones. My line was fairly good. I transitioned here. My back wheel was almost in the zone. I don't see how it's enough to make him crash into my car and make shit of it. But look, it is what it is. I don't really care now anymore. I'm so sick of this year. I just want it to be over. It is what it is. And we just have a lot of work to do now, but just have to hope that Conor does something and hopefully not get screwed. We'll chat to you after.
All right then, Jack. Just one last question. Obviously, it was a right-hand drive car. You went into the wall on that side. Is your arm okay? We saw you doing a little shake-up there.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. The car is a lot more messed up than I am. I'm tougher than the car. I'll be okay.
Well, there you have it, guys. Jack is a lot tougher than the car. Back to you.
Thanks, Becky. Obviously not happy, Jack Shanahan. Of course, they're all competitors and they're all out there trying to win. And at every decision, they'll always question because you've got to be. I mean, we're the same. If we're a driver or a fan, you're going to be a small bit biased towards every decision, especially when it's one that's so technical and so close.
Exactly.
And I think, as you can say, Jack said he agreed with the call for Peter yesterday, but then doesn't agree with the call there. So I mean, obviously we're in a situation where every driver feels, and every driver on any race car feels that they are looking for any advantage they can get. And I think that's an unlucky one for Jack Shanahan. I think Mika Keski-Korpi certainly didn't want to do what he did either, and it's not how Mika Keski-Korpi would like to win this one, but he is going to win it by just initiating into that first corner. And again, it's Drift Masters all year. Anything can happen. You think all these guys are favourites, but everyone's a favourite now.
Yeah, they certainly are. And Mika Keski-Korpi now, all he has to do is initiate, make it around that first corner, that first outside zone, which he does, and he is proving his car is capable. You're right, Dave, there is an arm bend on the back of that car, and he won't drive 100%, but he did what he needed to do. And I'm pretty sure he'll head straight to the Shanahan paddock, and I think he's going to go over there and apologise to Jack and
it's not what we want to see. We want to see guys going door to door, perfect runs, being the better driver, not the least bad driver, right?
Exactly.
But it's high, tense, high-pressure sport, and we saw it in Finland. We'll see it here again, and we'll see it till the end of the season. The days of just being a good driver and getting around are over. You make one mistake, and it can cost you your whole event, and that's what happened to Jack Shanahan. Mika Keski-Korpi goes through to the top 16, and it could be a surprise to him. You don't even know, but I think you got to remember that one error, one mistake, and we heard a lot of drivers. Jakub Król said it best. it's a game of one mistake.
Yeah.
And one mistake is enough. And here's two guys that definitely don't want to make any mistakes here in the top 32. It is James Dean, qualifying third yesterday, to decide on his result today whether he'll continue in Hungary to try and go win the championship. Josiah Falaise has engine trouble. He had to straighten the car after Finland, had to jig the car on a frame rail, and he's still in the fight. He's up against James Dean. What a huge battle for Josiah Falaise from Canada right now as he goes up against one of the best in the business. This one's going to be fireworks.
It certainly is. Look at this from Josiah Falaise, already hunting down James Dean as they come into initiation. Josiah goes on the inside, looks for James Dean, but Dean up and gone. Now Falaise gets himself into the fight. They transition for the outside zone. James Dean absolutely ripping, and Josiah puts himself out of position as Dean goes super wide, and Josiah hanging on to this one, trying to get himself into the mix, trying to get himself into the fight as Dean puts it to the outside zone. Josiah goes for the door across the line.
He's a hard man to chase around here, James Dean. Hard man to chase when he's driving that fast. It is unbelievable to watch. You guys are watching it on camera and it gives such a good representation, but here in the flesh, when you see James Dean take to this course, it's like he's gone in the blink of an eye.
It's so fast and it's so precise as well, right to the edge of the circuit, and you can see Josiah not doing a bad job. And here, look, hits the curb, I think, and it unsettles the front wheels of the curb. It unloads the rear suspension, makes it difficult for him to drive, and at this point, James Dean's up and gone. You can see Josiah trying to do everything he can. He's on the inside of the track, trying to shortcut, trying to make a dive back, but it just won't work for him. As Dean, as always, in Riga, textbook.
He's like a Scalextric's car. It doesn't look like, and the amazing thing about James Dean, I think this is why my personal opinion is so good. At 80%, he can beat most people on the track. And he doesn't go to 90 or 100 unless he's really pushed to go there. His spotter had been in the radio and said, Josiah made a mistake, made an error. Now you don't need to push to 100%. Just be in the fight, do enough, see in top 16. And he's the one driver that you can almost guarantee can take that information in and then translate it into a run. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, certainly is. And here we go, 30 years goes James Dean. He don't play it safe. Look at this, he lets Josiah go. Falls off the outside zone, but Josiah back into it again, transitions back Dean. Boosts himself into the fight now, tucks up on the inside as Josiah shortcuts the circuit, misses a few outside zones. He's going to go wide here and pinch himself up. He's going to get to that zone very late, and look at Dean calculating. Waits for Josiah to get set in that zone. Up into the wall goes Josiah, and onto the door goes Dean.
It's exactly. Not that I'm saying I'm predicting it, but you could see James Dean. He just went, you know what, I'll do enough. I know I can attack in 6. I'll see what he does in the transitions. He backs off on the transitions just to not get himself too much in the mix or get himself in a position he can't get out of. And he does enough, and he turns the dial up every single battle from the start of the event to the end, and it's just a masterclass to watch. We're watching probably the best drifter of all time in the prime of his career, showing you how difficult he is to beat. Is he unbeatable? No. I mean, Lauri Heinen took him down in Finland. You can beat him, but you've got to really be clever. And again, you cannot afford to make one error. Once Josiah put a wheel on the curb, that's all you need to do against James Dean, and that might be enough.
Yeah, exactly that. And there we go, there's James Dean attacking on outside zone 6 along the wall. And you know what, for me, really good to see Josiah making it into top 32.
He's had a tough year.
He's had a bad
engine failure in Spain. He's had to jig the chassis after Finland, and he's still out here fighting, even with an intermittent engine problem. So a lot of bravery from Josiah Falaise, but bravery, unfortunately, doesn't get you far if you don't beat the machine, and the machine goes through to the top 16. And James Dean takes another name this year, and that's a long list of people he's beaten this year.
It certainly is, Dave, a big list of heavy hitters. And you know what, I think for me, Josiah will he'll be smiling. He'll have a bucket list. Drift of Riga, battle James Dean in Riga.
And not look out of place.
No.
Gave him a good run.
Yeah. Here we go. We go back to the start line. It's going to be the man from the Czech Republic to take on a man from Estonia. Mikael Reichardt sits on the line. The higher qualifier to take on Kevin Passeur. Found the form at round 1 in Spain. Said he likes the fast circuits. Now, this season, starting to taper off. 4th place in the championship, needs to make it happen.
He's got to move now. He's got to make a move. He had, by his standards, a shaky qualifying session in 19th position. Reichardt out-qualifying him. And Reichardt in Riga is capable of doing anything. He's got a couple of top 8s in his bag before here, so this is going to be a tough competition as they go to the first corner, firing in. Reichardt to the edge of the circuit. Nice initiation. He drops rapidly out of that outside zone. Kevin Passeur having to deal with that as he transitions through the smog. Passeur on a safe line on the inside there. Not sure what Reichardt's going to do. Takes a dive as they come through the transition. Reichardt dialing off angles. A scrappy from Reichardt in the lead position. A big angle. Will he hold it just about, but he's outside the zone. And Passeur having to make evasive action here to stay in the fight. Not the cleanest of lead runs from the Czech driver.
well dealt with by Kevin Piskolty there. Kevin Piskolty did a very good job of dealing. That was a scrappy lead line from Mikael Reichardt right from the get-go. He dropped out of that first outside zone, like you say, Dave. Look how quick he was out of it. Then he puts the wheel back into it again, and Piskolty has to transition early to make sure he doesn't get himself on the wrong part of the circuit. Goes very deep on that inside zone. Wheels up on the curb from Mikael Reichardt. And I think there, for me, was when Kevin Piskolty was brave. Dived through the smoke, didn't really know where Mikael Reichardt was going to be, and then a big angle transition onto the wall, and that just really messed up that line. And Kevin Piskolty waited for so long for Reichardt to get in that zone, then make the dive on the door.
Yeah, it's clever driving from Piskolty. He didn't overcommit anywhere. I think if he did, he would have found himself in trouble, because even if Reichardt has, you know, a scrappy lead, if you go off the track or you spin around or you hit him, you can go out of competition. So you've got to look at the strategy of every driver in these battles. Now you guys are watching like we're watching, going, do you push hard? Do you take it easy? Do you just kind of sit in the middle? Do you wait for them to make the mistake? You think it's just cars driving around a track, but there's so much mental game here of how to manage your opponent, and I think Piskolty did a masterclass there. Now he's going to put in a solid lead run, and Reichardt's going to have to pull off the chase run of his lifetime here, because he's going to have to overcome all of those errors from the lead run and now get all that score back in the chase. He cannot afford for Piskolty to be more than 3 feet away from him here if he wants to get back in this fight. And Piskolty has to put in a solid lead run. His qualifying run, you know, his 19th place wasn't perfect. He's got to dial up a level now.
Yeah, he's got to turn it up. He's got to find it. He's got to go there. He's got to go somewhere he's uncomfortable to get himself into that zone. He fails to initiate. Now he flicks it. Handbrakes once again in outside zone 1. The judges won't like that. Mikael Reichardt deals with it though as he goes wide for outside zone 2. Now Reichardt starts to find the back bumper, starts to find the door of Kevin Piskolty. Reichardt goes for a big impact.
Oh, I was just about to say, Piskolty misses outer zone 4 badly, transitions, and then Reichardt comes through too fast. The judges are going to have a good look at this one. This, I don't think, is going to be as clear-cut as you think.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You took a moment.
I took a moment. I was like, wait.
And you know what, Dave? I'll let you take as mmany moments as you want, because I think by the end of today, our brains will be dead.
Yeah.
You take them out and put them in the bin.
We have to watch. Look, Piskolty's first corner is not great in the lead. His second corner is not great. He's way too on the inside. He transitions, and then Reichardt fires through like a torpedo. Now they're going to have to decide, was Piskolty's offline the reason for that, or was Reichardt too aggressive? I'm not deciding it because I want to see a replay, but I'll tell you what, that is what they're going to have a look at. And both cars. Now, I'm going to put it this way. Piskolty on the transition.
I kind of want to see a replay. I'm going to look over to the judges' replay.
To me, Reichardt does very much torpedo. And my question would be, is does Reichardt have understeer? Does he lose control of the car? And that would be his fault, I guess.
Oh, no. I think I know. And I think Kevin O'Connell see it at the same time. Watch this. Piskolty way shallow. You called it. You said it. Watch Piskolty's rear wheels. He's off throttle.
He's off
He
throttle.
slows down in a full throttle zone. And what did they say about Jack Shanahan?
Can't be doing that. Can't be slowing down. Piskolty slows down on the outer zone 1 too. Like he re-handbrakes on that. It's very unusual because Kevin Piskolty's been on rails all year.
Piskolty slows down. You see the smoke trail start to disappear. Watch this.
Oh, he handbrakes here. Look.
No, this is Reichardt.
Oh, this is Reichardt. Reichardt's on the full brakes.
Yeah, he's slowing down.
Yeah, Reichardt's on full brakes there. Interesting. Interesting. I see a bump here. Oh, look at Kevin Piskolty's head.
Oh. And you know what? These guys wear the best of the best safety equipment, hands, devices, helmets, gloves, the whole lot, the whole shebang here in Riga.
Oh,
The
carnage.
whole shebang, literally. Yeah. And we know they're going to be safe, but I think this is going to be another decision where the
lead car slowed. The
lead car slowed, and the lead car is going to say, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, he hit me, but they've said it in the briefing. They're going to stay. What did they say earlier? We're going to stay consistent. There's
a lot of Estonian fans here, and I think they think this is a little bit more clear cut. I think they think that because Reichardt hit Piskolty, which is obvious. If if you're a fan, you're going to look at it and say, oh, he crashed into him.
He crashed into him, yeah.
But the judges being consistent, saying the lead driver is going to be at fault if they do anything that they don't want them to do.
Now, I could be completely wrong. I see Kevin O'Connell looking at the screen, pointing at the same thing.
Well, we're going to know now.
Here we go.
Let's see which way it goes for a spot in the top 16. It's a split decision, but Kevin Piskolty gets the win. And the judges split on this one, and I got to go straight over to the judges because not an easy decision, guys.
Yeah, definitely not easy at all. On one hand, it looks very similar to the previous cases where it happened actually at Outer Zone 5, but this part of the track is a little bit different than the others. We are having like orange zone there, which is marked by 2 orange cones. We are calling it like floating zone, in which you are able to leave off the throttle. So Kevin was off throttle, but he was allowed to be off throttle. The problem which we are looking on is that Kevin was not fulfilling Outer Zone 4, so his line towards the end of the orange zone was not so correct. If we look on Michael, his transition was correct. However, he ended up in very small angle and coming very fast towards Kevin. He was on full brakes before hitting Kevin. But still, we were saying that the orange zone is there for protecting the leader to adjust the speed that he can be, again, on throttle, fully committed, around Outer Zone 5. So from my and Kevin's perspective, we need to take care about the orange zone and protect the leader. However, Vernon thought that missing the Outer Zone 4 and having wrong trajectory helped to the contact and blamed Kevin for that.
Thanks, David. And you know what, I love that, because independent thinking, 3 judges thinking completely different ways about it. We're going to go down to Kevin Pazur. He's trackside with Becky Evans. What did he make of all that, Becky? Because I'm not sure he knew what happened.
Well, Kevin, I know that wasn't the way you wanted to get into top 16. That was quite a large hit from Michal just there. Are you okay? You're sort of rubbing your neck a little bit.
Yeah. It was a... He came me out of nowhere, and it was a pretty big snap to my neck, so let's see.
Okay, well, take yourself into the pits and have a look at things, but we'll see you in the top 16. Take care.
Thank you.
So yeah, Kevin Pazur obviously shook up a little bit on that one.
Yeah. You could physically see it there. He was unshaken. And you know what? As you say, completely split. I think this is going to be the tail of the tape. There's a lot of people split over many decisions. And
and I'm sure if you're watching online, you're pretty split too. I'd imagine.
And I agreed with Vernon, and you kind of agreed with.
Yeah, I think, look, even when we're split, we watched a lot of drifting, and we've been split a couple of times this weekend between the two of us. So it does show that it's not as obvious. If someone says this is the obvious call, there's no obvious call when there's a split between everybody here at the tower. We move on to the next battle. Irish rookie Fionn Roche taking on Oran Nielsen. Oran Nielsen, top 5 in the championship. He wants to cement that place in the top 16, and he's got a good run on Fionn Roche here so far.
Yeah, he's out and gone, and Fionn Roche way down the inside. He's going to have to shortcut the circuit to get anything back. As Oran Nielsen looks dialed, wheels up on the inside for Fionn Roche, the Irishman, as he fires down, looks for the side of that Toyota as Nielsen now puts the back bumper onto the wall. That lead line from Nielsen has been impeccable all weekend, as Nielsen now looks for the last zone and across the line.
That's a phenomenal lead run. That is absolutely phenomenal.
He has been on it since the first day.
I'm trying to, obviously I've watched a few runs of drifting over the years. I've actually watched every single run of Drift Masters since its inception. And you have too, Ian.
Yeah, I've been here alongside you.
I'll tell you what, I'm starting to agree with this level of harshness on the lead driver, because when you put in a solid run like Oran Nielsen does there, he gave Fionn Roche every opportunity to get back into that battle. And then it just comes down to how much speed and aggression Fionn Roche has. I think he had speed and aggression, but he just couldn't match the pace through the course of Oran Nielsen there, because Nielsen was flying. Now, it's good, Fionn, see a little bit of handbrake there. I think he just didn't trust that he wasn't going to make an impact at some point. And I think every driver now who's watching the other runs are getting a little cautious here. They don't want to be throwing it all away on a big impact. So I think we've watched very brave start to top 32. A lot of drivers watching the other drivers going, oh, I don't know if I want to throw it away with a big collision here and then end my weekend. So, you know, psychologically, this event does a lot to a driver. There's no part of this track that's easy. If you're going around in a circle or a figure of 8, you're at the same pace throughout the whole course. This, you're coming in absolutely flat, then you're going full throttle for 4 zones, and then you're almost 3/4 through the track before you even ever think about slowing down. That doesn't happen on very, very many tracks. So this is a very, very strange track, and it brings up a lot of strange calls and decisions, but it's also very challenging and very entertaining, and that's why you bring the best drivers in the world here to settle things. And of course, you're going to have your own opinions on the judging. You're going to shout and scream and say, you know more and they know more and they're useless and this is that. And that's sport, same as a referee in a football match. But somebody has to make the call, and at least with the judges, they're making it based on what they told the drivers in briefing and what they've already called before. So, you know, and again, we talked about it. We've been split. The judges have been split, and I can guarantee everybody at home has been split. If you're a fan of one driver, you're definitely split and jumping on that side saying that's the way it should be. But I'll tell you what, it's not easy here, and a lot of guys pushing right to the razor's edge. We've had 5 to 6 battles in the top 32 decided by collisions. Let's hope we don't get another here with Oren Nielsen and Fionn Roche. Oren Nielsen now in the chase. He's got the hard work done in the lead position, but he's got a lot of hard work to chase that young Irishman through that course, because Fionn Roche was absolutely flying in practice today. And I guarantee you the spotters on the radio to Fionn Roche will say, you got to go for it now, Fionn.
Yeah, here we go, down. They come for initiation. Nice early initiation for Fionn Roche. In and out of the outside zone. And look at Oren Nielsen, though, dealing with it, not being too aggressive, too greedy. Look at his tucks up on the door, though, as they come down in front of the grandstand and flick back. And look at Nielsen. Gets himself into that zone now. Will he time the transition right? Of course he will. As Oren Nielsen waits for Fionn Roche to set himself up on outside zone 6. Now makes a dive. Now takes a chunk outside of lane 6.
That was a big lead run from Fionn Roche. That would have been a 90+ in qualifying yesterday, and he scored way down the order in 27th position in qualifying. But that was a phenomenal run, giving Oren Nielsen again everything to work with. You see, when the lead driver is where it needs to be, the chase driver is in no pressure.
No. Nielsen took a lot of advantages here as well.
He drops inside that white line on the initiation. Fionn drops just for ever so slightly out of that outer zone, but gets back on it again. As they come through here, this is a lock of the front brakes from Fionn just to get those zones, but he does complete those zones. 2 great lead runs, by the way.
Very great lead runs.
But more proximity from Nielsen, I guess, but then he does drop off a little bit more than I'd like to see here.
I think Nielsen does a good job applying the pressure. I think he does a better job, a cleaner chase than Fionn Roche, but hey, again.
To me, 2 very good lead runs. And I would say more consistent proximity from Oren Nielsen throughout the run than Fionn, who kind of had moments where he was there and then backed off again. So whether they're going to reward the moments over the consistency, we don't know. But that's what we see when we look at it the first time. So let's see, both of these drivers will not know. So this is going to be a nervous wait to see what the decision is. It's for a spot again in the top 16 here in Riga. And it is Oren Nielsen gets the win. Oren Nielsen goes through to the top 16. And you know what? It's not a bad way to go out for Fionn Roche. He's a rookie driver. And I'll tell you what, he gave it all there. Didn't make any major errors. And Oren Nielsen does get himself into the top 16. And as far as I can tell, Becky's warming up for an interview. Becky, you're with Oren Nielsen. He's on a flyer this year. Everything going right for the Norwegian.
Well, what a story change from last year. Obviously, Oren Nielsen didn't make it even to qualifying in 2023 because of an engine failure. And here you are now into our top 16. Fionn put on a wonderful lead line there for you.
Yeah, that was a great fun with Fionn. I mean, he's a great driver, so I know I had to do my best. Came into the first corner, I was feeling that I was going to go off, but I managed to save it. And now in the chase, I think his tires were running out because he was doing quite slow in the last part. So yeah, great to be in the top 16. Last year was a disappointment, so I'm really happy and stoked to move on.
A lot of our drivers are struggling with that outer zone vibe. Is there a track condition change, or is it just simply they're carrying so much speed, it's actually quite hard to slow down to get that transition into the final wall?
Yeah, that's right. It's the trickiest part of this track, to get the transition right. And if you carry too much speed, you will go off. So you just, yeah, I don't know what I do. I just pull e-brake and throttle, and I'm there. So yeah, thank you.
All right, Oren, congratulations. You're into the top 16, and we'll see you very soon. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Becky. Doesn't even know what he's doing. Doesn't even know what he's doing.
Doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, if he doesn't know what he's doing, then we can't all speculate on what's going on.
We have no idea.
If Oren Nielsen says, I just do some stuff and some stuff happens, then we all realize how difficult this track is. We move on to our last battle of the top 32. Ite Seda against Joachim Andersen. Ite super consistent in qualifying, but Joachim Andersen coming with a little bit more spice this weekend than we've seen him in the last 3 rounds. This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, and big news was Ite Seda took a big hit with the wall in practice earlier on, ripped the front wheel clean off the car. Ooh. They've just spent a long few hours with a few other teams in the paddock getting that car repaired and making it back out top 32. Andersen, I would say here, looking like the stronger contender, more confident. A man that's been driving all the way through practice, but you can never count Ite Seda out of the fight as he leads them both in to initiation. Looking good so far as he fulfills that first outside zone. Joachim Andersen right with him though. They fire down, they look for the inside zone, they collect it nicely. Ite goes super wide on the outside part of the circuit. Now stalls up, he's offline, fires onto the wall. Joachim Andersen has to shortcut the circuit, dive on the inside. Oh, and he's broken the car.
I was just about to say that this is Joachim Andersen's because that was a poor lead line from Itay-Seda, and Andersen learning from Keski-Korpi and Więcek yesterday, don't overcommit when they're on a bad line. He didn't, and then something broke on the car instantaneously. It's the cruelest sport you'll ever watch because he just did everything right and the car just shut off.
He's been having clutch issues this weekend and saying that the clutch, under the amount of power and torque that they're running, has now started to take itself apart.
Oh, watch this, he comes through. I think when he comes on throttle here, yeah, look, no tire smoke. So he kicked the clutch after being on the handbrake and nothing happened. And he does well because that's not a great lead run from Itay. It's again, same issue that Jack Shanahan had, just coming way too shallow there. But no collision and a shutdown from Joachim Andersen. Yeah, on the handbrake, goes back on the throttle, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Which is annoying because if he'd gone through that section and maybe hit Itay-Seda, it would have been Itay-Seda's fault.
Yeah.
But such is the variables. And I don't know. Like, this is the thing, it's such a roll of the dice. You don't know what's going to happen.
No, you don't. You don't know what's going to happen. And
we want all these guys to be out there, you know, door to door. And I think we'll see that as we move through the competition. But they're back on the start line, and they're going to have a word with Joachim Andersen and say, hey, buddy, your car shut down. What happened? Do you know what happened? Or are you going to go and throw it into a corner at 140 kilometers an hour, not knowing if you've got a clutch or not, or it'll go on the power or not? He'll know on the run-up, I guess, whether he's got clutch or not. He's shaking his head, though. So I'm not sure what's happening. He's going to go for it.
I'm just hearing word in my ear. It was the clutch just gave up for a moment, but then it came back again.
Oh. I don't even know how that happens. Like, how does a clutch just stop?
Stuff happens in these cars, and you're like,
how does a clutch just stop? And then all of a sudden, no, fine now, thanks. So let's hopefully, could be a messy one if that clutch doesn't work on that first corner. And I'm worried here.
Yeah, this could be messy. But is it going to work? Is it going to perform as Joachim Andersen fires in? It looks like he's working 110% right now as he starts to fly away. Itay-Seda transition super early. He's going to be right on the inside, and now it's scrappy from Itay-Seda as he fires down, comes through the smoke. Joachim Andersen pulls this one together. Can he hold it together for the final outside zone? And it looks like it might work for him as he gets up on throttle. Itay-Seda makes a dive to the door. Who knows what way this is going to go? There's a scrappy chase from Itay.
I think Itay-Seda is going to get very lucky here. I think he's not done the cleanest of leading chase, and I'm going to account that to the fact that he had that big hit in practice. Car not 100%, but because Joachim Andersen shut down completely on the first run, I think Itay-Seda might be lucky here. And he didn't do anything spectacular, great or bad, but it just... Joachim Andersen's shaking the head. I think this is going to tell its own story because Joachim Andersen knows the clutch went to the floor, couldn't drive. That's an incomplete run. Both drivers, you know, Itay-Seda did complete both runs, and Joachim Andersen did not.
Yeah.
So, but like, look at Itay, he's barely on angle there. Like, he's really flirting with disaster. And the face tells the story. He's like,
he's holding on there.
He's like, what is going on? This car is driving terribly. But does he straighten out enough? I'm not sure. I don't think he straightens enough for an incomplete by any means.
I think he's just running super shallow angle.
Oh. Well, I'll tell you what. You can say whatever you want about anything that happens in Drift Masters, but you can't say it's boring. That's for sure. Nope. Plenty to talk about in this top 32. And one last decision to go. And it is Itay-Seda who gets the win and goes through to the top 16. I'll tell you what, he wouldn't have believed that when he was buried in the wall in practice. He would have thought that was the end of the weekend. And look at that, just turns all the way around and he's into the top 16. And Joachim Andersen coming all this way in the bloody clutch for a moment in 2 battles, just knocked him out. He did nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong.
Let's go down to Itay, and Becky, you're down. He had a big crash in practice, but now he's in the top 16.
He sure is, Dave. Itay, that wasn't the cleanest lead and chase there, but it looks to us like after that crash in practice, your car isn't 100%. Can you tell us what is going on from inside the cockpit there?
Yeah, not at all. The car is super unpredictable after the crash. The whole right side of the car is bent, the chassis, the legs, everything. I think this corner is like 3 centimeters more caster. It's like you transition and the wheel doesn't do everything. That's really hard, but I'm super glad that we made it through and we have time to fix it now.
So back to the pits right now. Try to get that car a little bit straighter and into the top 16. Congratulations, Itay.
Thank you very much.
Guys, back to you.
Well, there you go. So, you know, you think I'm out, then you're in. You think you're in, then you're out. And then who knows what's going to happen from here.
And you're driving a car that's 3 centimeters shorter on one side than it is on the other.
I mean, look, we'll all debate, I'm sure, between 32 and 16, a lot of the calls that have happened here today. But one thing I will say is that it's so good that it's so competitive. And, and that's the bit that I love about it. Here we go. You're now seeing the battles lining up for top. Wow. Look at this. Więcek, Kiely, Shanahan and Zalewski, McKeever, Piskolty, Falvey, Heinen and Korpelinski. Juha against Keski-Korpi, all finished affair there. James Dean, Kevin Pazor, and Oren Nielsen at Taste of that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And you thought the drama was good so far.
I'm going to need to lay down.
We're only getting warmed up, baby. Because
have we got a break so I can have a little lay down?
I think we're going to need to give Ian a little nap here because this is going to be a wild top 16. And again, 16 drivers that all believe they could be on the podium today. And one of them will be the King of Riga. Well, from Ian and I, we'll see you at top 16 later on. Becky, that must have been the craziest top 16 we've ever seen.
I mean, it sure was, Dave. Our top 32 always throws up so many different situations. I mean, unpredictable is the word that I would use for this sport, but that's why we love it. So make sure you guys get yourself settled. We're going to be back here at 5:20 p.m. local time. We're going to be live on Red Bull TV. Dave and Ian are going to be bringing you all the action from the track. I'll be bringing you all the stories from the paddock. So make sure you join us again, as I said, 5:20 p.m. We'll see you very soon. Goodbye.